I'm a little rusty on it.
I'll hum it for you.
How is everyone doing? All right, 1 second. Sorry. I got sucked into the character customizer in Baldur's Gate 3, and realized, oh shit, I was close to live time. How's everyone doing? Let's do the intro really quickly, and then get into stuff. Right? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you might be watching this. My name is Josh, and welcome to my channel. On here, we talk news, we talk politics, we talk current events, we play video games sometimes. We are, I am hoping that the commenter from my YouTube channel will, I told them to show up in chat and just make their presence known when they're ready to come on and talk about Wokefield a bit. But until then, we're just gonna cover stories like any other day. Let's see. I'm here. Oh, is this you? Okay, lovely. Lovely. All right. Fantastic. Here, let me drop you a. Ow, shit. Let me drop you a thing. Do you use the same name on YouTube and what's it called? And Twitter on and Twitch? Yeah. Okay. Admittedly, I didn't remember it. I looked at it, but I definitely did not remember whatever it was. What am I looking for? I'm looking for Twitch chat. There it is. All right. Mm-hmm. Well, I should probably do that, actually. Discord, yeah, actually, here, don't follow that one. Here, I'm actually gonna give you a different one. What happens when you have like a million different things open? There we go. That should be. Whew. All right. This. Now pull this. Oh, yeah, I can close this. I can close this, and then we do that, and then hopefully you can hear me. I'm assuming I should be on here. Should be good. All right. Is the right microphone on? That's the real question. Ugh. All right. Throw those on.
Yeah, I don't hear you here.
Okay. 1 second. Yep, it's not on the right microphone. There it is. That should be the right one. Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
All right. There we go. Yeah, it wasn't. Discord for whatever reason always wants to go to my like default computer mic instead of my actual nice microphone for whatever reason. But yeah. Anyway, how is it going? Nice to meet you too. Can I get your name real quick so I know who I'm referring to?
Well, you could call me Dissolute Void.
Just Void, you said?
Yeah, sure. Void will be
Sounds good.
cool.
That sounds good. Yeah, just something a lot of people
Definitely.
the last couple of people like usually have a username or whatever. I don't really, just something so I can use a name.
Definitely. Hey, I just want to say that I really I think it's really awesome to meet you, and this is my first time talking to a YouTuber of any caliber, and I told my friends to watch, and
Oh, I certainly appreciate that.
Yeah,
I definitely
was like,
appreciate that.
hey,
Yeah. Yeah, I've done this a couple times. I find whenever people make either substantive or uniquely interesting points, I'll usually offer them an invite onto the show. I like talking with people, so I want to hear the and work out the stuff. I'm rather small, so you're not going to be blasted to the largest degree, but I do what I can.
I appreciate, like, you have like tons of videos on YouTube, and I
I do.
was looking like, wow, you have like tons of videos, you put a lot of work and effort in, and like you're actually really consistent with your points, and I that's why I actually just looked recently. I was like, wow, this guy's really cool.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
as somebody with a full time job, I have just enough time to kind of do this, and working hard, trying to juggle as much as I can. You got to kind of make it in this world. They say,
Hmm.
when you're doing what you like, you don't work a day in your life. So, um,
That's
but
for
anyway,
sure.
just to give anybody watching, whether if this goes up for a segment or anybody live, just to kind of some background. So I put a video out. I want to say it was definitely in the beginning of the week. Probably it went up on Tuesday. Speaking about heel versus babyface's reaction to Starfield's use of pronouns, and I've played the intro section of Starfield. I have a bit of knowledge of the character creators. There is the option to pick your pronouns. Um,
Hmm.
and Void here's lovely enough to join us. They found it a bit of a problem. The thing that stuck out with me was the terminology of comply. So I'm
Hmm.
kind of curious where that feeling of compliance comes from your end. I've seen I get an okay amount of comments, and I see a lot of people negatively responding to the whether it be the pronoun stuff or whatever. And I'm just kind of curious, where are you getting that, I guess, feeling from? Like what is it
Hmm.
that's that like you use the word comply? Where did that come
Yes.
from, I guess?
Well, I mean, it's pretty strange because I also I also make video games, and I feel like it kind of sucks that now nowadays in the video game industry, a lot of people are probably gonna have to put these things in their games more often than because just to gain political points.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I feel that's like really unfair if all businesses are like complying to political views. I think that's like really nasty.
Right.
It gets really mucky really quickly when politics and video games get together. You
All right.
know?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I can understand a little bit of that. So, I guess I'm curious. So, something that I kind of try to separate the meat from the chaff on is a little bit of this, like, inserting video games into politics. Now, I am somebody who believes that video games, like a lot of forms of art, are
Mm-hmm.
creative works by large teams of people. Sometimes, obviously, there's small dev teams, there's big dev teams, but they're created by people. And I think when you have people, you're going to get politics somewhere in those kinds of games. So I guess I'm curious, when you say like bring politics into it. My view is there's always politics in video games. Same way there's always politics that are going to be involved with really any
Well, I
kind of
mean, like
creative
a game
medium.
like Mario or Tetris, there's
Mm-hmm.
probably no politics in those type of games. You know what I
I
mean?
mean, to a
And then you could
degree,
work your
I
way up. Well, how? I mean, that's kind of going a little far of the topic, but like, how would they be?
I mean, if we're talking like Mario, something where you're not creating a character, you're probably not going to get those. I guess you're obviously not going to get pronoun questions, stuff like that, right? But
Yeah.
in something like Mario, there's absolutely politics involved in Mario. There's the damsel trope when it comes to the female characters, which is taking a back seat more in the last, I don't know, maybe I'd say like 10 to 15 years, that we started seeing kind of Princess Peach, and you have kind of the female characters not
Well,
looked
I
upon
get that.
as much of as like rewards for the character beating the games, basically.
Well,
And that's political, and there were
definitely.
people who had
Uh,
problems with that back in the day.
Well,
I remember
one
those
thing
debates.
is that I definitely can see that, but one thing is that when you're creating a story, something so simple as a knight in shining armor saving a princess does come into mind when
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of creative processes.
Right.
That's very common. And that shouldn't be political debate. Because it's a part of our humanity as far as we know.
Right. What do you mean is part of our humanity, I guess?
Well,
Like
because it's been
the
in our history, about how we write stories.
Okay, so you're talking about like kind of the history of like storytelling then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, yeah.
Like, if somebody's consider like coming up with an idea, they're obviously like going to hit like something common that everybody can be attached to. But then, of course, with any type of speech, there's always going to be people that don't like what you're saying, and
Right. Yeah.
even if it's something common. And yeah, I could see that why that could be kind of political, but it's not really, and it never was supposed to be. I don't like I don't remember that.
What do you I guess my question is like what do you like cuz you're using political. So like like I run back again to the thing of like every decision, almost every decision you make in a creative work is drawing from some kind of angle of politics, who you choose to be saving, how you choose to write your villain characters, how you choose to write your hero characters. So like I feel like a lot of times when I talk to people about like art and stuff like that, um there becomes this like, oh, trans trans identity is
Hmm.
political, but what's the word, like
Yeah.
like heterosexual interest in characters, the ability to like romance, like if you're a male character, the ability to romance a female character, that's not political, but it's political to be able to romance a male character if you're a male character. And that's kind of what I'm wondering is like, where's
Hmm.
your bar of like, what is are politics just stuff you think shouldn't be
Yeah.
like we
Well,
should always is like, you get what
okay.
I'm
So
asking,
the
right?
gender
Yeah.
debate. So the
Hmm.
gender debate, right? Like,
Give me like 2 seconds, 1 second,
yo,
give me like one
okay.
second. My cat's, well, this one wants out, so I'm gonna release him so he can stop making, go on. There's another one, but she's like right there. She doesn't mind being here. She'll sit. Oh, wait, where did I put? Oh, yes, I did. I put it behind my chair. Okay. Anyway, go ahead.
So yeah, the gender debate. So that's a hot topic political issue,
Right.
and it's been there for quite a long while actually. I thought maybe it had sprouted in the last 10 years. I actually look back, and it's been a topic of debate for a very very long time. It's not just the last 10 years, and you're right. Maybe I've been raised in this type of way that I'm in this bubble where okay, this is different to me, and like I probably don't like the idea of change though. Maybe I'm too old or something.
You're
but
never too old to learn stuff, but it does get
no,
harder the
but
older you get.
yeah,
As a
like
leftist, there are people who there's I don't know if you've heard of the debate around like xenogenders and xenopronouns and stuff like that. I look at and I'm like,
yeah.
man, I'm like growing up for me, it was already a debate about gay rights and like gay marriage, and
Yeah,
just
but how
anything
how
past
much
that is already a bit, it's just like,
how,
all
how
right, like,
much of our brain do they want to occupy? It's like language used to be simple, and now having to remember a lot of the more things that you have to remember, that is actually taxing on the brain. We
I
can only
mean,
keep track of so much, and our attention span is getting smaller as a species actually.
yeah, I mean, I
Like,
definitely wouldn't disagree with you on that, unfortunately, due to social
yeah.
media. But like, what do you? Okay, so again, and I know I'm picking specific things, and I'm being a bit nitpicky here, but who is they? I want to hammer down who they is.
Well, what I mean, I guess they're calling themselves days. Anything outside of the bubble that I used to know was reality.
Hmm.
I mean, it's only until recently that I started seeing like what it's actually like out, after coming out of high school and like getting a job and, realizing there's all these types of things that, I wasn't used to growing up. And
Do you
a
mind if I
lot
ask
of
how old you
people.
are?
I'm actually 34 right now.
Okay, okay, so you're a little bit behind. You're just a little bit ahead of me. I'm 31, so
Well, yeah, like but you know what? I get it though. You know, the pronoun use comes from a place to show tolerance for any lifestyle. You know, it's like if you want to be called something, and let me tell you, if someone actually told me that they would rather be called something, I probably would,
Hmm.
because I don't like to offend anyone. But at the same time, I feel that, like for it to become political and have, like it be called hate speech if somebody gets pronouns wrong, that could actually lead to, a lot of chaos in our world. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I certainly do think that there's so one thing that I like. I've heard people mention, and like Jordan Peterson got very famous. I'm assuming you're aware of him.
Chaos.
He got very
Yeah.
famous. Going on. I don't know if he went on Twitter. I don't remember what platform he went on, but going on Joe Rogan and other platforms and doing the whole
Yeah,
talk
the one that I saw.
they will pull my free speech from my cold dead hands. I will misgender you because it is necessary for my freedom of speech. And when it
Nice
comes to stuff
expression.
like that, it's to me it always comes off as people who haven't experienced like kind of not I don't want to say like people being rude, but I want to say like very specific kind of hate speech, because what we're
Hmm.
talking about when we're really talking about laws around misgendering people, what those are in place for is really to tamp down people who would go out of their way. And when like let's say like a good example is like if you go up to Starbucks, and if you've been to Starbucks especially recently, a lot of times people will have their little name tag, and usually they'll like write in those fun pens their pronouns, and those are just there
Hmm.
to help the customer, in case somebody might be non-binary, in case somebody, like you can't see it, or maybe I don't remember if I had it in the video. I have really long hair. I've worked in a lot of I work in kitchens, and I've worked in like open style kitchens, and I've
Hmm.
been confused for a woman, if you can believe that. I have a beard, but if you see me from a distance, and if I have my hair down, and if I've shaved or whatever, I've people have come up to me and like, "Excuse me,
Right,
ma'am,"
yeah,
and I turn
people
around and
confuse me for my sister. I definitely,
yeah,
I definitely get that. But
and yeah.
like, yeah, the definitely like one thing is that so
And let me finish real quick. Let me
mhm.
finish real quick. And my point to saying that is the only thing that hate speech laws in terms of people's pronouns are going to be inhibiting is the same kind of activity that I think you and me can agree on, that the government kind of has an interest in stepping into. If somebody wants
Mhm.
to vehemently keep on calling somebody who is who is trans whatever is the opposite of their preferred pronouns, then it's kind of obvious after a point that they're just like a racist trying to upset somebody. If somebody's yelling, the N word at
The
somebody,
same thing could be
it's
on the
that's
opposite side.
mhm.
The
What do you
same
mean?
thing could be on the opposite side where somebody can use that to, say that, oh, somebody misgendered them, and then they could have a bunch of their friends as witnesses,
Right.
and they would actually abuse that, and it has been abused in Canada.
I mean,
You know.
I'm not sure the instance you're talking about, but what I'm thinking when I think of that, if you go up to an officer, right? Because police aren't everywhere. Police are not
Mhm.
everywhere.
Of course,
So
yeah.
what would you like? What is the realistic outcome of this? You call the cops and you go, "Hey, this guy misgendered me." That was like, and he kept like doing it. And if you were lying, you were like, "And my friends can all attest to this." They're gonna
Mhm.
ask you, "Is the person still in the store that you're working on, or are they still around you?" And if they're like, "Oh no, they like paid for their stuff, was an asshole and left," then the cops are gonna go, "Well,
Well, I
maybe
mean,
you
they can
could ban
actually
them.
lie
You
about
could
that
put their
too.
name up on the thing and do like the ban from the store due to this." But you know the police aren't going to get involved. The only time the police really step in is when they show up, and I've seen instances of this, but from a not
Mhm.
for trans people, but when people are, especially you see this at bars when they're yelling, when it's like you're kind of on the cusp of two people getting into it. Cops show up and go, okay, everyone to one side, what's going on. Some people go, I've seen it where people go like, yo, that dude called me the N-word. I'm not like, and all his friends and da 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 da. And then cop walks over. He's like, did you say the N-word? And he's like, oh, well, and they have the whole conversation. And then, cops usually do like all right, you go home, you get the fuck out of here, stop being
Hmm.
racist. Everyone just chill the fuck out. Everyone go home. Most of the time, hate speech usually isn't, I don't know what the rates are in Canada, and I don't even know what the rates are in the United States. But the idea that
Hmm.
we're going to have this rash of people, falsely claiming that random individuals are
But
misgendering
that's the
them,
same thing.
I just don't see where that's gonna turn into a problem. I
That's
guess.
the same thing. That's the same thing for the other side too. Is that if like how many people are actually going to be against misgendering and doing it like wrongly on purpose if it's being supported so much,
What do you
like
mean?
right now, because there's so much support for LGBTQ
Oh,
and
okay, I get what you're
gender.
saying. Okay, okay, okay.
There's
Yeah,
so much support. Like, anybody would see it as wrong right away if that was to happen.
right.
And like the only odd situation would be if those two people are alone, which then the person they could call each other whatever they want in their private setting,
Right,
you
yeah.
know. And if it's a person that's unsafe, like maybe at night, like that's terrible. But that stuff does happen. But it's not going to be as often. I think they would be equally as often, you know.
Well, I don't know about that because we do have at the very least, we don't have like a ton of data on trans people's interactions in public, but we do have a ton, but like we don't have a ton, but the data that we do have is
Yeah.
examples of assault rates for trans people, which are a lot higher in terms of like, when you compare them to, say, like, gays or even like bisexual people, like we see a really high and notable rate
Hmm.
of abuse, like physical abuse of trans people in public. So it kind of just feels like this is, not that I
I
really
mean,
support or am trying to fight for any kind of specific law, but I do
so
kind of
one thing
think this is
is,
something where
yeah.
if you could say, hey, like, and most people I don't think go immediately to call the cops. Most people are like, all right, asshole, just please leave me alone, stop talking to me. And if somebody keeps bothering you, usually then you're like, all right, look, I'm gonna call the cops if you keep bugging me, you keep calling me man or whatever the fuck, and I'll
No,
deal with it
well,
that way.
one thing is definitely like that does seem to be happening a lot. But the thing is that everybody is, when they see someone like with a different color wig, or different color hair,
Blue haired
like
liberals.
they're going, yeah, like they're going to see if, like, if they're fighting, somebody's gonna have a camera. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? they're
yeah.
gonna they're gonna catch that more often than the regular fights that are gonna happen, because that one looks more it looks more colorful, it's more popping, like, whoa, like this person, oh my
I mean, I
goodness,
think most people just
and then,
film a lot of interactions basically. But
well,
yeah,
I
I
mean,
get what you mean. There's at the
like
very
those are gonna
least,
be popular
yeah,
because that's
it'll
that's a
certainly
that's a
get more attention
popular.
online.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And just like that woman who went to GameStop, the transgender woman that went to GameStop, and
Mm-hmm.
like she
I don't think I'm familiar with the
uh
story. If you want to give me some background.
well, GameStop got someone's pronoun wrong, and
Uh-huh.
she was like, "It's Bam,"
Yeah, yeah,
but it said in a real
yeah,
masculine voice.
yeah. I mean, look, individual like stuff like that. It's always like, trust me, I can go on the internet and find people
Uh-huh.
honestly acting pretty foolish, or at the very least, people, especially nowadays, people get really like. I've noticed people just generally are on edge a lot more, and that might just be
Hmm.
because of social anxiety. And this isn't like, I don't think, a left or right thing. How many videos, I'm sure you've seen videos of people watching, cringe,
Well, wait a
MAGA
second,
supporters
but that is a
getting
political
all like
issue, though.
out of the all acting all like out of bounds in Walmart or whatever, like
Yeah,
I mean, I
I
think
feel
that's
like
a
that
political.
is
I think a lot of
political.
things are. Let me be clear. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
a lot of things. I think basically everything is involved in politics.
Well, I mean, I just recently got into politics, and I thought, like, wow, this is very foolish, that all
People
these
are very
conversations
anxious.
are being had, and it's something that doesn't really come to light unless it's in America. America, where we can talk and be whoever we want. And in other countries, like in most of the world, like you wouldn't even be able to choose, like in a Muslim country or
Well, in a
in
Muslim
China,
country, they just stone you to death. Like for a long
Yeah.
time, they just stone you to death.
Uh-huh. Hmm. And that, like, I mean, like, it's just the way that we raised up in all these stories. I mean, like it's very religious, it's very all political, and I do agree with you. There's a lot of politics, but you know what? Let's get back to
Hmm.
Starfield.
Right, right. So yeah,
You
so
know,
like again, the like is I guess the main question is like what is the issue then? And again, back to the
hmm
comply thing. I'm curious,
uh-huh.
like why the feeling of compliance, I guess.
Well, yeah, like I told you that as a game
Hmm.
designer, like, yeah, there's so many options to put in a game, and like I said, one thing is that the trans people that are being misgendered,
Hmm.
they are they're the ones that have like a high suicide rate, and it's really messed up, and it's
I
really
don't know if that's a
bad.
yeah. I mean, non-acceptance of
that that's
trans people
that's one
does
of the
track to yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and that's one thing that's the thing that's driving that suicide rate real high.
Hmm.
But the thing that Starfield did was so wrong because look at this. How are they going to put that you could pick your pronouns in Starfield and have, you play your character,
Right?
and the characters in game don't even call you by the pronouns that you picked. So that's actually having more people get misgendered.
Don't you? I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
yeah,
if you pick a
they,
well, my I know my well, I haven't seen her play it yet, but
yeah,
I
it's
know
all
she
over
picked a
Twitter.
she played a
It's
female
all over
character.
Twitter.
Hmm.
It's all over Twitter that they're getting misgendered when they pick their pronouns,
Right?
and like that's something that I feel is
Wouldn't that just be a
because of,
coding issue then?
well,
Because most of
that's the
that's like
thing.
if it doesn't insert the
Think
right audio file,
think
right?
about it like this. Think about it like this. Bethesda has been working on this game, and then they
Oh, brother,
add
we
this
know glitches,
feature.
bro. Trust me, we
Yeah,
know. We're all gamers
yeah.
here. We know how it is with
But this
them.
is this is more than a glitch because they would have to fix all the audio in game. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
That would take a hefty update, for them to fix like that, maybe him and her having to switch it off with each phrase in every voice clip. Like that's too much. I think, that's really definitely really hard task for them to do. But the fact that they didn't think of it in the inception of the game, you know, they didn't think of that to actually have everyone called by their gender that they picked as their pronoun is, I think that's terrible, as for Starfield to do. And that's why if they were not going to go all the way and implement the idea full throttle, they should have never done it at all. You know?
I guess I guess I don't really see the I guess for me it's one of those cases where if that is true, again, I think what did I get through? I got through the intro and I think the space combat tutorial bit.
Mm.
I don't even think I've gone to I don't even think I've gotten that really out of the
Yeah,
first
I've just
couple
been
of
watching
hours.
Charlie play.
Yeah. But like my thing is if if there's like a if and again I haven't seen any of this on Twitter. I try not to spend too much time there, but
Mhm.
if there's an issue where people are being misgendered, I am really skeptical of people going on Twitter, making an account, and then trying to do the like. There's always going to be that skepticism from me that there are going to be people who want to make this into an
Well, I mean,
issue or whatever
that's
and go
gonna hurt
online and be
them.
disingenuous. But also, if it's really just the voice lines are messed up, because for sure we can know that they most likely recorded every single voice line with using he, her, he, him, she, her, and then they, them pronouns. Like, there's no chance that they didn't record all of those. And what we're talking about now is really a coding issue, which, again, coding issues aren't really
Nah,
new
I
for
feel like
Bethesda. It's,
I
there isn't a
feel like it's
Bethesda
more
launch
than a
without
coding issue.
glitches.
I'll tell you, I feel like it's more than a coding issue because if the game that they started out and they didn't implement it in the beginning and didn't
Hmm.
have like, then they must have added it towards the end and to please a crowd. That's what I believe. I believe that they just added it towards the end just to get political points.
So
You
they
know,
added.
if
I
it
mean, let's be clear. They would have only really added the they them ones. The he, like he him and she her ones were probably in it from beginning. We can agree on that, right?
yeah, but
Since those two were
not for the
probably,
characters.
well,
Like
no,
a lot of people are
for the created
complaining.
characters, yeah. Like
No,
you could always
they
play a
don't.
female or male in Bethesda
You
games. I'm
Yeah,
pretty
but
sure.
if you pick a
Morrowind, I'm
if
pretty-
you pick a female or male, but when you pick the
right.
pronouns, they're still gonna call you by what the model was, and that's the
Oh,
big
okay.
thing
So I
about it.
understand what you're saying. You're saying that if you pick a male, what would look like a male model, normally in the old games, well, yeah, because I guess there wasn't a selection. But I mean, that's not really all that I think complicated to code. I'm not a coder. You would know more than me, but for the most part,
Mm.
wouldn't that just be assigned dialogue when depending on what you pick, and that's pretty much it? Like that seems like a rather small like
You
patch.
know, whether it's big or small, like they if it's a small thing, like they didn't think they must have added it towards the end if they never got
Right.
to that. You know,
I
and
mean,
that's
maybe,
why
yeah.
I think
I
that
don't know their dev
it's a
cycle, but yeah.
terrible thing. You know, I feel like that's what happened. You
Do you
know,
feel
and
like
that's really
they should have gone more heavy
you know
on the
if
LGBT stuff?
I get it. It's a futuristic game, and you know, in order to have a futuristic setting, you have to jump to certain conclusions,
Mm-hmm.
especially politically.
Right.
Like I understand that, you know, like, but yeah, I would have been happy, yeah, if they would have went full throttle and you know just made it, you know, like that there could be that they could have you know definitely picked it and be called what they have to be called. I guess
Right.
you
I
know
mean,
it's a video
yeah.
game, you know.
I mean, for all intents and
Definitely.
purposes, that is the design. But like, if there's glitches getting in the way of that, then I mean, that's a technical issue. But I just don't see the evidence that this was a late change or a late addition. Like, unless it's just it doesn't work properly. But a lot of stuff doesn't work properly all the time with Bethesda games. Doesn't that just kind of feels like a design pipeline problem?
Well, you know, they chose to stumble on the wrong rock, I would say.
And
You know,
and I guess I'm
because
curious, is the issue, I'm sorry to interrupt you, I'm just curious, is the issue that like you think it's disingenuous that they put that sort, like, any kind of gender ambiguity in the game? Like, do you think that's just disingenuous and they are like because it seems like the pandering part is also important to you, if you can expand on that.
so well, this is the thing. It's like they could have if they would have done it, they should have gone full throttle. And if
Mm-hmm.
they like the thing that I felt that is whack is that you know now you know a lot of games are seeing to you know implement this feature you know just because you know it's going to get them you know a lot more views and you know on the YouTube pages getting debated about on YouTube and you know
I
like
suppose. I didn't notice.
that's
I noticed
actually
nobody. Baldur's Gate actually has the same options. I noticed
mhm.
nobody really talked much about Baldur's Gate. Now again, like
Well,
nobody freaked out the same way that other YouTuber did, but like it's literally the same system. I was running through the character creator right before stream. It's literally the same system. You can pick
yeah, I
body
would tell you
types
that
and a
Heels
lot of
versus
stuff.
Babyface is very exaggerated.
Yeah, I mean, I got that sense.
Yeah, he's very exaggerated, but you know what? He tells people what like a lot of people have in the back of their mind. You know what I mean? Like
I mean, I
he's
certainly
speaking
think he's
people thoughts out loud. You know,
yeah. I mean, I just don't
and
like I think I said in the video, I just don't think he has any kind of idea what he's talking about. Like I think he was screaming about like gender ambiguity and talking about wanting to, you know, endless, boundless possibilities of worlds and space, and he's thrown off by the use of pronouns or the options to use them. I like to me it came off that he doesn't know what or like how to approach pronouns, because pronouns are just tools in the English language for us to make quick assumptions on like people's identity. That's all it
well, you
really
know, I
is,
mean,
for the
he
most part.
actually, you know, one thing is that he actually just speaks to one political side, and you know that's why his videos are very attracting to that side. You know, it's like he's always, you know, bringing up what issues that he sees will fit that side. And
Right. He
like,
seems rather right wing. Just based
one
on
thing
my
is,
one view.
hmm definitely, like, and I respect that. At least he's just speaking his mind out there. He's speaking what people, what issues he sees that people, the elephant in the room, so to speak.
Do you think it
You
matters
know,
that he's kind of ignorant of like what he's talking about? I don't know everything he talks about, but at least on this, he's pretty ignorant on like the facts and a few other things. So I'm kind of like, do you
well,
think that
I mean,
matters or
so this is what I would say is that I believe that, yeah, like, hey, he probably might be ignorant to it. Yeah, I definitely agree with you, but he you know it's like everyone is going to be ignorant about that. A lot of people are still ignorant about these things. And when when talking about something new like that, and bringing up these things, like, it's just the new things are always going to pop out to people much more quickly than like the same old.
right?
And that's what's gonna happen. Is he's gonna talk about it because he knows that everybody's gonna be, oh, they added this feature in the game, huh? Like, it's just a phenomenon.
I suppose. I mean, the I don't know about. Let's see. One second, America's favor. Nope. Favor. Sorry, I was going to look this up before I said anything. Here we go. This is what I want, because like the whole thing of like this topic being kind of news or like uniquely new. I don't know if it is. For the last, what, 2 years, we've probably been talking a lot about trans identity, especially if you're online.
That's
I
in the
noticed that
media, definitely.
there's a pretty, as I can speak to this as a very small YouTuber. I know what gets me views. You know what gets me views? When I respond to Matt Walsh, when I respond to Tim Pool, when I respond to Ben Shapiro, when I respond to any of those guys, I will
Uh-huh.
see a huge spike in my views, especially if it's around the trans issue. That
Hmm.
seems to be the like a topic that I
Yeah.
notice a lot of right wing content creators are really interested in always talking about. And I feel like
Hmm.
the what is his name? Is it AZ? I saw people in my comments saying AZ. That's not his name, right? His name isn't Az.
I.
I don't know what that means. But that guy,
Mm.
the heels versus babyface guy, which I
Mm.
also resent that that's his name and he doesn't talk about professional wrestling, by the way. But like I see a lot of people who try to make a lot of their content, even though it seems like he does a lot of pop culture stuff, is kind of more around gaming and around cinema stuff. But looking through it, it just kind of comes off to me as British bald the quartering and a lot of that kind of cringe lefty, trigger content. But
Mhm.
I don't really know. Like, I guess
Mhm.
having that kind of outrage and reaction means he's genuine. He's not a grifter. But like, do you think it's a problem that like he's kind of just talking to people who also are maybe like you, a bit inexperienced or don't have, I don't know
Mhm.
if you've met a trans person before or like been like I've worked with one or two, I want to say. Actually, what am I saying? I work with one
I,
now.
I've met a
Um,
couple. I've
and
met a
like
couple.
I,
It's pretty
I don't
prevalent now.
suppose those people seem that different from anybody else to you. And once you got used to saying their pronouns, which sometimes this is something that I'll say for the left. This is something that I'll say for
Mhm.
my side. We're not always great about distinguishing between people kind of, making mistakes and trying to correct that and trying to like I've done it where I've accidentally misgendered somebody and then I get corrected. I'm like, right, got it. And I might do it one more time
You
after
know,
that.
just like
But like,
just like
you
how
make it
I'm
an
not
effort.
really good at getting people's names right.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I mean?
I'm a faceless
It's
person.
something
I'm
that.
shit with names. I tell
Mhm.
everybody that all the time.
Mhm.
And sometimes people, I think, and especially on the left, there is I think a defensive posture, especially around people's trans people specifically, their place in society, because you have people like Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro, all the people I mentioned, and people like Heels versus Babyface who react to that kind of content and make those identities, make just being trans in general, just at all, make that into a political debate when it shouldn't be. I don't think black people like I don't think there should be a debate, and I don't think anybody thinks there's a
Mm.
debate on, do black people exist? Are black people a thing in society? Of course they are. We can observe them. They're right there. Some of us work with
Yeah.
them. But it turns into, oh, that's what trans people are to people like Matt Walsh, is a debate. And we turn it into, oh, should they be included in video games? Should you get to pick your pronouns? If you're trans, maybe you want to pick your pronouns. Maybe you want to pick your pronouns. Maybe you want to pick the opposite of your pronouns. I play as female characters sometimes because I'm a dude. I'm a dude 24/7. I get bored of being a guy. Maybe I want to be a hot chick sometimes. But like, it's
Yeah.
just
No, I feel. I
inclusion, I
mean,
think, is
especially
good.
in the
I just,
internet, we
as a
have all
value
this
period.
anonymity. In the internet, we have all this anonymity, and a lot of people, can use that to, be whatever they want. They can choose to become a persona of their own favorite character that they design or that someone else designed for them. This is that type of age where that people can do that, and but in the real world, it's a lot more difficult to discern. You know, like people automatically jump to conclusions, and people, especially if they never been introduced to this, like, and a lot of Muslim and Chinese people are moving into America. A lot of people are going to America, and they're going to see this for the first time, and then they might think of it, they're going to fall into either side. They're going to either fall into the side where is outrage, like, what is this, and then they're going to fall into another side where, you know one side is trying to push this as much as possible so it could be the norm. And that is, something I feel like, I mean, it's just very conflicting for people, and they a lot of people are usually going to pick that one side, over the other type thing, and it's always going to be divisive. It's something that I feel like it's unsolvable, I believe.
I mean, okay, so you're 34, so you're kind of around
Mm.
my age. Does this not kind of just sound like gay marriage when we were growing up? Like, how many years was gay marriage this exact argument that people just aren't used to gay people, that marriage
Hmm.
is an institution that's centuries old, and people coming from
Hmm.
other countries are going to be put off? And we do see that. We do see people who immigrate here
So
as
this is an overview, yeah.
this is, to me, just the new thing that people just kind of need to come to the grips of. Hey, we have more variety of human being on this planet.
Yeah, okay. So what I think is that, the old view, which was that, we need a lot of humans to populate a country.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a country can't be anything without people, right? And so
I
the
suppose.
old view was scared that, if a part of humanity goes into those type of ventures, then we would have less people, and so they think of it as, oh, like, our the American population is dwindling, so we shouldn't be promoting that because, then, our population won't grow as a people. And, like, that I feel like that's the major concern with right wing commentators. Like, they make it pretty, like,
Shouldn't they be in? But
they
they're not
try to be
in. They're
pro
not in
life.
favor of immigration either, though.
Well, I mean, they want to make it, they want to make it at least a little difficult for people to come into the country. You know what I mean?
Why?
It's like, because, I mean, it's the best country in the world, to me at least. And I
Why are we
remember,
the best
like, my
country?
mom. Well, I mean, all the freedom that we have, the fact that we can have these type of debates, like, all around the world, there's a lot of places that you can't even speak about this type of stuff.
I mean, I would definitely
That
agree. You
it's
can't really do a lot
inconceivable.
of debate in Saudi Arabia. Get your hands chopped
Mm,
off or stoned to death.
yeah.
Well, for being
Hmm.
gay, also.
Hmm.
But I
Like,
mean, a lot of
that's
countries have freedom of speech. Maybe not all the way to our extent. It kind of depends on in each
that
individual
extent.
country.
That
But
extent is
certainly
why I think it's.
from the Americas, we could all. I mean, aren't we all North and South American? We kind of come from the same like hemisphere.
Well, yeah. I mean, I haven't been to South America, or my
I haven't been since
My
birth, so me
yeah,
neither.
my but I think that this is the best country because yeah, we do have all this freedom to talk about all these type of things, and that I feel like yeah, that this is gonna be a debate for all time. It's not gonna be something that's gonna be solved because it hasn't been solved. People want to be treated a certain way, and some people would rather sticks and stones. Like I'm not gonna be told what to say type thing
Well,
you
isn't
know
that kind of like that kind of cuts both ways though? If some
hmm
like if someone's asking you, hey, like, can you refer to me as like my name? Like, if I told somebody my name was Josh and then they came up to me, and actually it's happened before where people have misunderstood me
hmm
and they've called me John, and I could choose to
hmm
be like, no, excuse me, my name is Josh. And they could
hmm
they could be like, no, I think your name is John and I don't give a shit, fuck yourself. I'm gonna call you John from now on. Like, I'd say that we'd all kind of say that, yeah, that you're being a bit
yeah,
unreasonable. Like I'm not, there's not
yeah, if
really
somebody
like
was
a
not
I
hmm
don't know if that's really something we need to stick up for, or something we need to
yeah, but that's my
codify.
point. It's like it shouldn't be I feel like it shouldn't this since it's such a hot topic like like ongoing and forever. It shouldn't be uh it shouldn't be up
The So I'm curious.
for government
I
to
mean, I guess I'm talking,
implement it.
when you say the topic forever, do you mean just trans identity?
Well, trans identity, any identity. It's not even just the trans. It's
I
just
mean, you
like now
think black
people want to be
people's
referred to.
identity is up for debate? I don't think it is. I think most
No, I
people
think I think those are
are like, black
people.
people exist. Yeah,
Yeah, they're people, and they like everybody can just see that we're all human beings at the end.
right.
Maybe if you want to not refer to yourself as a human being and want to be an alien or whatever, it's up to you. But it's also up to the other person if they're going to refer to you as that. You know it shouldn't be that they're going to put that into law.
Well, I think
I
I
would
like,
say.
well, the same way I think I look at it as the same way. Like, I don't think in America, just because you don't want to, not refer to a black person as the N word, like, I think that's a case where the state should step in and go, hey, you need to be civil. There is civility that we have to
I
Hello?
abide
mean,
by in society, and
Hello?
that's,
Can you hear me?
oh my goodness, what is happening?
well,
Oh, is there
someone
somebody else in
joined.
here?
Yeah,
Oh,
someone just
Yeah,
joined.
hello?
sorry, I'm gonna have to mute you. I didn't realize. I thought I closed this already. God, I don't like this.
Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing?
Hey there. I'm sorry. You're gonna have to get muted because I didn't realize I had this still open.
Why? Oh, I just wanted to join in on the conversation.
Okay, give me like a minute then. There we go.
Okay.
There we go. Sorry about that. I didn't realize this was still open to the thing.
Yeah.
Oh, they probably used the same link. Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Ah.
They can jump in afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, where were we? Yeah, I mean, like, I just don't, I guess I don't, like, in terms of policing speech, we already do pretty light versions of this. Again, you can't
Yeah,
yell
I feel like
fire
those
in a
type
crowded
of
theater. You can't yell. You literally can't yell even non-hate speech. You can't just yell at people in public. Yeah, the cops will show up and be like, you need to chill the fuck out. Like, you need to chill out, stop yelling at people. We will just arrest you for disorderly conduct. Like, that's already a thing. So I don't really see how this is, I guess, unique
yeah.
in that way.
So what? Yeah, like I feel like so if there's things that they police already in speech, and yeah, those things are definitely messed up things. Maybe the fire in a theater, that hits one of the things of all our fears is that we're gonna be trapped in a room and we're not gonna be able to escape. But
Well, it's
as
mainly because
far
it's
as
just dangerous, because then people freak out and people get hurt. That's
yeah,
like the main thing, yeah.
but one thing is that okay, so the N word, for example, like if they did put this to law, and one thing is that I felt that it was never necessary because if you say the N word and you're not supposed to, you mess around and you find out. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
no one's gonna
yeah.
let you get away with that. If you're going to do that, now they put law on top of it, which is like a double whammy.
Uh,
Where
I mean, so do you mind if I ask? Did you grow up in the South at all?
no, I grew up. I'm actually from Jersey,
Okay,
but I actually moved to Florida. I moved down to Florida last year.
gotcha. So I grew up in the South for a
Mm-hmm.
large part of my upbringing. Um, and while you are correct that if you're a white person and you go up and say the N word to black people who don't know you, by the way, I've had
Mm-hmm.
white friends. I had like a lot of my friends growing up are a lot of mix of races, but like if there was a white guy who walks up to our group of friends and says the N word, they are
Yeah,
going to face a certain kind of reaction. But
yeah.
that's
It's
not a
it's hit or
reaction.
miss.
Yeah,
I
but
think
that's
it's
not a
hit or miss.
reaction that the government or the state is endorsing, which is the main mechanism how we govern what is and what isn't allowable, actions within our within our society. Like we can't endorse vigilantism because the problem that you run into is if somebody says the N-word to,
Mhm,
a group of black people, fucks around, finds out, right?
mhm.
When that person either dies or is incredibly injured, especially if they die, we have no way of finding out if they ever even said it. For all we know, he just rolled, he just walked past some people and they killed him. There's a lot
Yeah,
of instances where that kind of like loose and ambiguous nature gets kind of dangerous and doesn't allow us to properly, like, honestly police our like
but
population to a
just
degree. We can't determine where justice is being upheld and where it's not. In the past we had tons of examples of white racists in the South saying that some black person did something, talked to a white woman, said something to a white woman, and then they'd go and lynch him and they'd say, oh well, it was because he fucked around and
yeah,
found
that's a
out. We
show
like,
trial. A show
yeah,
trial.
yeah, we,
Yeah.
we can't have that. Like we need actual, I think, barriers to say, hey, this is not allowable. And like, hate speech is kind of one of them, I think that's, I know people have their misgivings about hate speech laws, but without them, and again, they're not even enforceable the same, like they're not enforceable immediately. There is usually a lot of like social enforcement, but the
Mhm.
cops aren't going to be behind you at every second. You say the N word and they just bap you over the head immediately and
Or I
drag your
mean,
ass to jail.
if the cop found it offensive, he probably might.
I mean,
I
possibly,
mean,
but that's
if
again,
you
if you
offend
that,
a
yeah,
police officer, let's say he's a black guy, and the person calls him an N-word, he's that person deserves everything that's coming to him.
well, yeah,
But
they broke a hate speech law right in front of a police
a
officer,
cop,
in front of a person,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. But
yeah.
there's been,
But
yeah, I mean, there's been a ton of times where people
but
people just say fuck you to the police and they beat their ass anyway
mhm.
because policing is they're humans. They're gonna get pissed when
But
you
that's
do
one thing. It's
do
like,
stuff.
okay, so in New York, like police are getting spat in the face, and they don't do anything. They could go for whatever crime that they want to at times. If they're looking to reach a certain quota, they would have to make problems if they have to reach a certain quota sometimes. You know, but I don't want to get too off track. But what I want to say was that when saying stuff like the N word, people, they're just going to it's going to be hit or miss. Like some people even have the N word card that they say that they claim to have, where if they're like a white person or somebody that's non-black, that they can say the N word and it's fine because they were around that culture for such a long time or something, and was just allowed by the people in their neighborhood to say it. you
Yeah,
know
there's a lot yeah, it's been known to happen. Black cards have been
and
known to
and
be had.
and that just makes it so confusing. If it's going to be law that you can't say a certain word, then what's the point if people are going to get away with it anyway?
Well, I mean, keep in
That's
mind, like, if you say the N word to a black person that you're friends with, they're not going to report you to the police. And if the
Mhm.
police hear you say that to your black friend, they might give you the side eye, but if they notice that the
Mhm.
person you're saying it to, didn't say any, they just moved on. They didn't even note it. Then you're
But
probably fine.
let's say that person wants to get into politics now, and then he has that instance that on a TikTok video he said the N word, and
I
now
suspect
he
he'll get a
has
lot
that
of views.
following.
He'll do. I'll tell you right now, he'll do pretty goddamn well. That's pretty spicy. He will do
Definitely.
probably fairly well.
Oh man, that's terrible.
They're the.
But
I suggest you go look up. I believe it's the Hodge twins, on YouTube. There's something.
That's they're kind of conservative, but they're really loosey goosey with the way they speak.
Well, yeah, I don't know what their politics are. I just know that they're two white boys who grew up in a black neighborhood, and culturally are, I'm not going to say indecipherable, but they've taken on a lot of they've been around it for quite a while, and they have a certain amount of comfort around black people, which I don't have much of an opinion on. It's, I believe so. Yeah, I think that's their name. I'd have to look it up again.
The Hodge twins, I thought they were black.
No, I'm pretty sure they're not. One second. Hodge. I don't know how to spell their name. Twins? Oh, it's with a D. Okay. No, not wait, no, who am I thinking? Fuck, wait. Boys. Let me see if I can actually find it. Now I'm like,
maybe Crowder or something?
No. It's no, what is it? Oh god. Let's see. N-word? I know it was like Vice. I think Vice did
the Island Boys.
Possible. No, is it? No, wait, is that it? How? God damn it. I don't remember what these. They're like brothers. Oh god. Let's see. Removes. No. Oh my god. Grew up in the hood. Maybe that.
Oh, the Wayans brothers?
Yeah. Maybe that sounds. No, because Wayans Brothers is white chicks. God damn it! I don't remember these boys' names.
My friends.
Like I'm trying to find him.
Oh man,
Da Vinci? That's not it. No, that's not it. I know that's not it. In the hood, N-word. I just remember because the video started with them just like dropping the N-word, and it's like I'm fucking stupid. It's the Hoff twins. I was close.
No Jumper, coolest podcast.
I was really close. Yeah. It's HOFF, the Hoff twins. Interesting individuals.
Oh, No Jumper. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, they're like rappers or something?
I don't. Probably. I mean, let's see. Hoff. No, it was Channel 5. That's who covered them. It wasn't Vice. I was thinking Vice. Yeah, because they. Yep.
Hey, we need help in the liquor department. We've been everywhere and on every bitch.
Yeah. It's a good video. These two are something else. But they grew up. I don't know where they grew up, but they grew up like in the fucking hood, and they got no problem acting like it. Now they say the N-word, do the whole act like rich ass rappers in the hood. It's something, and like
that's hilarious. Oh my goodness.
But they get away with it. Like cops aren't gonna beat them over the head for saying the N-word because it's kind of socially acceptable for them at least. They've gotten a bit of
having it. What's the point of having it? We already have like history to teach us that like this type of behavior is wrong.
Well, you're assuming everyone gets the same history lessons. You have to remember. Trust me, the South learned very different Civil War history.
But we have a whole Black History Month. We have so much things that we put forward to keep that history valid for so long. There's in Jersey, there's so many statues of Martin Luther King and what he's done.
Do you want to know how many statues there are of Confederate soldiers throughout the South? Quite a lot. There's like, and those weren't put up right after the war, before the war. Those were put up in the last like century, so that Black people knew hey, this is the Confederacy. Just understand where you're at.
I mean, The
And
Confederacy. So, like, I understand that they own slaves, but like,
mhm,
that's
they
all. Is
did.
that all that they're known for?
Well, the Confederacy is like a compilation of southern states who seceded from the United States because of their insistence on the continuation of the institution of slavery. It was a during the 19th century, yeah, during the 19th century, as the country kind of grew in space and in everything else and culture and everything, there was a lot of discuss and a lot of I think misgivings about slavery during that time. And as time progresses, people go, maybe we shouldn't own people, maybe that's just not cool anymore. But unfortunately, the South, in their infinite wisdom, were more interested in keeping slaves than keeping the country together. So they seceded. There's also an element to their economy. A lot of southern states at that time relied on plantation and slave labor because it's free. You pay for your slave the same way you pay for your shovel, and you get as much labor until you kill them or their back breaks. In which case, most of the time they'd kill them after that anyway. So,
Yeah.
Their economy relied on a lot of that. So there was a economic, like, we need slaves, but there was also a general cultural desire to keep slaves.
I mean, like, I definitely understand. Like, a lot of countries definitely like they had slavery, and they we America was definitely one of the first countries to abolish slavery
That's actually
in a
untrue.
much major way.
A lot of Europe had already abolished slavery. We were one of the last countries, in fact.
We were one of the last.
We're not like I don't
mean,
know the
there's still
exact number,
people
but
doing
we're not.
slavery now.
Yeah,
They're still
obviously,
doing
yeah.
slavery now. Like,
I believe there's a country, I don't remember the name of it, that still technically has slavery on the books. And even in some states there are weird there are like slave friendly laws.
Who
But
was the Martin Luther King for them? Like, we don't learn about that. Like, do you know? Like,
in Europe, I don't know if there was, well, Black history in Europe is a bit different, mainly because Europe isn't where the slave trade ended up. It's mostly where all the commerce for the slave trade ended up. While the United States was buying and selling people in Africa on behalf of the crown in Europe and in the UK as an example, all the money flowed through there and everything, but the people came here to colonize this continent.
So they still benefited off of slavery, Europe, at that time. Even if
they benefited certainly off of the sale. The transatlantic slave trade was a triangle network basically between the Americas, Europe, and Africa. And granted, when I say Europe, I'm being really unspecific because I don't know 100% of what is Germany and those kinds of areas because, again, the actual border lines weren't as concrete and certainly were different back then. But mostly we're talking about like Spain. I don't know so much about Portugal, but certainly Spain, Italy, again, the UK, those sorts of areas were dealing with a lot of that stuff.
I wouldn't say that we were last. That's what I would say. I wouldn't say that we were last, and we definitely tried to abolish slavery in a major way, where we try to televise it and put it at
television
into
weren't
the
around at
media
that point.
much. Well, I mean, Martin Luther King was definitely on TV. That's what I'm saying. When we abolished it,
abolition was
was
passed in like
TV.
the 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
Martin Luther King wasn't until about another 100+ years.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. So this race thing, man. I mean, slavery. You're right. I'm learning a lot of things from you right now. You're teaching me a bunch of things, and
This is what I
things
mean. Where not
that
everybody always has the history. That's just most of it. Yeah.
But I definitely believe that we are definitely supporting the idea that that Black people came from a horrible past that definitely America was a part of. But today's people, is definitely a whole different generation of people. We're not the same people that we were before. Maybe like down here in Florida. I mean, I've only been here for a short while, but it's like
I'm sorry to hear that.
it's very.
My mom retired down there. She hates it.
Oh yeah.
She's from
Why?
Pennsylvania. She doesn't like. There's a lot of elements. She doesn't like the heat. She doesn't like the. It's a lot of things.
Oh yeah. Well, the heat is definitely a big thing.
By the way, to give you an idea, the United Kingdom, France. Let's see. Let me double check. Yeah, in 1834, the UK and France abolished slavery. We are not until oh boy, somewhere. Let's see. I'll switch over so I can. Are we really all the way in the 18 Fugitive Slave Act of 1850? Where is it? Oh, I know. We'll just do 13th. 13th. There we go. Jesus. 19. No. That can't be right. 19. No. Ratifies 2013. Mississippi officially abolishes slavery. Ratifies 13th Amendment. Original on the 27th. When was that? In 20. Wait, what? Oversight was no 2 medical school colleges on an immigrant. 2013. That can't be right. That has to be one of those like weird little laws. My point being, we're not looking until we are after the UK and France as examples. We're not last. We still have. There are still, I think 2020. I'm in the 2020s, and there is a bunch of like
bloomers in the race.
What? In 2013? No.
Wow.
According to this, in
United
2013,
Kingdom.
ratification of 13th Amendment in Mississippi. Oh boy. Yeah. And then wherever the fuck this is, slavery was criminalized in 2010.
Put up twice?
These are all like different steps. These are all steps like this is Colorado. Prison exemption, remove Colorado's constitutional ban on slavery. That's fun. That's cool. In 2018. So yeah, like
what step are we on?
we're on generally the 13th Amendment is looked at as the amendment that freed the slaves, but that begins the Reconstruction era, that leads into all the way up to about the 1960s when we're talking about MLK. So we're still talking about 100 plus years of Jim Crow, if you're aware of, if you know what Jim Crow laws were. Down in the South, they figured, well, if we can't own black people, we will just disenfranchise them and not make them equal parts of society for us. And that was another way that
No, yeah, like politically and as a community, definitely like just being really tough on black people. It's terrible.
Right.
But
and what I'd like to avoid is just us repeating a lot of this kind of debate about people's existence and rights. I'd just like to avoid that when it comes to trans people. I don't feel like doing all that rigmarole. I just think trans people exist. Pronouns aren't, you use pronouns every day. I use pronouns every day. Somebody asks you, hey, these are mine. If you could make an effort. I don't really think it's that hard. The younger kids certainly are a lot better and a lot,
yes.
And I like to see it in my video games.
Well, yeah, okay, so in video games, like, definitely, okay, let's say The Witcher, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where, let's say they try to make an online create your own character Witcher game, right?
Sure. I can certainly see it. Surprised I haven't, honestly.
Yeah, right? Well, one thing is that the Witcher series has been based on Polish history and Polish folklore. And one thing is that if let's say they were to try to introduce that into that online game, it would be kind of changing a lot of that where that came from, where the storytelling and all that stuff came from.
Like the inclusion of trans people into the universe?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't
Definitely.
I mean, I don't really see how that's I mean, is that wrong? I guess that's the big, like, is that bad? I don't
Well,
really see what the problem is in that.
well,
It's all mythology. It's all fiction. It's not like
yeah,
we're
but
changing
it's
history. It's, you know.
well, you are changing history because I mean it wasn't a part of the original folklore, and if you are,
But The Witcher's only
like
based on only like based loosely on like that kind of folklore, right?
no, I mean it's very very hard on the folklore because even the Polish leader gave Obama a copy of Witcher 3, and
This is a
because he
country's
said
greatest
that
export. Yeah.
he said that that the folklore is on point, and he really prized it as one of something that can teach people a lot about Polish people.
Are there not trans people who are Polish?
Well, probably now there is, but that wasn't
Hmm.
in their history before.
I mean, can we actually be sure about that? Are we sure that there are zero throughout all of Polish history? There's never been a trans person who is Polish?
Well, you know that's the funny thing. It's like if it hasn't been written, what can we be sure of? Like we can't be sure of it. You're right, but then at the same time, like what we're just going to write them in, like
Sure, why not?
just
Especially
because.
with mythology and stuff, we write in, like, if we're not talking about being like falsely telling history. I think when it comes to fiction,
I mean,
you have a
I think
license to
if
play
people
with
do that, if people
fiction
do
as
that,
much.
it's coming. I feel like if people do that, they're looking for that type of attention,
Actually,
politically.
you know what I'm
They're
curious about?
making their game. Yes.
Assassin's Creed has
Mm,
a real penchant for acknowledging mythology, for rewriting actual history.
hmm
It like, why isn't that an issue then? Because there's a lot of stuff in Assassin's Creed that they play around with
Well,
in terms
yeah, they
of
play around,
shaping history to
and
fit the
but
narrative,
that's
which I think is fun.
that.
I like
But they make that the
historical
point.
narrative or historical
I feel like they make that the
fictionalization.
point of the game. They make that the point of the game where it is to like all the conspiracies that all these major, organizations, that there was an assassin organization. Like people had conspiracies about that, and so like there's so much that creatively as a storyteller, there's so much to play with.
Yeah,
You know,
I think there's a lot to play with when it comes to trans identity. You can really like get
well,
into quite a lot actually.
yeah, but not for the Polish, Witcher, a Witcher, type title. Like there's certain games that probably wouldn't go that route, and there's probably always going to be games that won't, go that route. And I feel like now those type of games are pushed back on really heavy because they aren't taking that stance.
Well, I
You
mean,
know,
if I'm being honest, if you're not going to make your game, I guess, marketable to like other people, then that's kind of the free market, unfortunately. If
I mean,
if there's a trans person who boots up your this hypothetical Witcher MMO character creator, and they go, oh, I can't be trans in the game, that's kind of lame, I'm kind of less interested in this now, then
well,
I mean, I kind of am like, maybe you should have put that in if you wanted their dollar. A lot of video game development is at the end of the day a business.
mhm.
Most of the time,
So
most devs are like, we want to market and reach the
a,
broadest
a lot of
audience.
devs don't really think about, like they're really try a lot of devs are focusing on marketing to boys, you know and because boys have been more consistent as video gamers than girls in
Certainly been more
throughout
socially
history.
acceptable for us men, yeah. Us men and
Yeah,
boys.
yeah,
We're
and
the
then like it's
experts on
not
the
that
N word
girls don't play.
on Xbox.
Oh yeah, like Call of Duty and
Yeah,
all
yeah,
this
yeah,
stuff. Yeah,
yeah.
but that's the thing. It's that it's more it's better for people if they're going to make video games, if they're going to market to men, because they know that mostly men are going to play their games. That's more marketably
But
acceptable for them.
so I think I remember saying this about like the Bud Light controversy earlier this year.
Hmm.
You already kind of, as video games come out, right? You kind of already know you're gonna get a bunch of guys playing your video games. wouldn't it be more what's the word, monetarily efficacious to market a little bit to the females, maybe a little bit, because you're gonna get whatever that number is of guys playing, because guys generally play, I think, make up a larger section of the gaming population. So you're already gonna get them. Maybe you want to shore up some of those other markets. I just don't like. To me, it's like girls play video games too. If you put in a little bit of effort, you're gonna get all the guys you were already gonna get, plus some of the women. So, I mean,
that's the problem. I mean, you were saying Bud Light, and just what comes to mind is how the meme is "Go woke, go broke."
right?
Like all these companies are actually trying to do, as you say, and hit those other markets, but they're losing their main market.
Well, we know that the get woke, go broke thing is AstroTurf. Is not even AstroTurf. It's just false. They said this. I remember this a couple years ago. They said this for Captain Marvel. It did like $1 billion at the box office. They've said this for any number of movie, any number of video game, and they rarely ever actually do poorly. They have to pick out very specific metrics to make something look
Captain
like
Marvel
it did poorly.
probably did well, because a lot of people want to see superhero movies, of course, and that's mainly for kids. They bring their children, 13, 15, go, hey, watch Captain Marvel. But as far as people that enjoyed Captain Marvel, people didn't enjoy it that much it wasn't enjoyed as many other Marvel movies, for sure. They get low ratings in the tomato,
I mean, the tomato meter is not exactly
and
the best
IMDb,
metric. I want to see if I can find the yeah, it has a 79% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'd say that's pretty.
What about for
pretty decent?
That's the is that the
Fuck.
is that the
No, I do not want. I'm not turning off my ad blocker. The tomato meter score is 79. The audience is 45. But you and I both
45.
know that Captain Marvel got review bombed before it came out. Same with something like The Last of Us.
Well, those are people
Part
that
2.
agree with that. Those are people that agree with that, and of course, it's
Well, yeah, but those are people who those are people who are abusing the system and trying to make a they make 5 accounts, do like a 1-star review. They write the same thing, or cringe, woke trash, whatever. And those are just people who spend a lot of time online, and they rigs kind of the metric system. But that doesn't ask most people. They'd be like, it was a movie.
They made the tomato meter, so I'm sure they're trying to mitigate that as much as possible. Especially
since then, a little bit. Yeah.
With but it still to this day still has a very low score.
Yeah, I mean, it's there's the only way for them to do that is to just get rid of the audience score, but then people would be outraged about that next. So it's really just a lose-lose. You just leave the score up and let people go watch the movie. But again, the get woke, go broke thing, we've known that to be fiction at this point. There isn't really
Please tell me more about that, because I feel. I mean, maybe I'm looking at things differently. I would like to know, how is it failing? Because there's so many things that show that when you are not going woke, that you're actually succeeding in your movies.
Well, if we're talking movies, so I would have to look up an entire, if I type, there we go. There, I'll do this. If I type "go woke, go broke," right? What's going to come up is like Walt Disney, right? Disney Corporation, who didn't like Ron DeSantis's "Don't Say Gay" bill. They spoke out about it, and then Ron DeSantis does a bunch of different changes so that his administration can oversee more of Disney's, little cutout of Florida. I don't know why this is on here. The Bud Light thing, which if I go check the stock, the Bud Light thing is funny because you go and check the stock and it's taken a hit, and you can see the pocket in which it's taken a hit, but you can if you follow stocks at all, it's not about losses, wins and losses aren't gauged on, we had this one pocket where our stock dropped because there was a online campaign. You want to look at broadly how long the stock has been going, and overall it's perfectly fine. It's not like amazing or anything, but it's
I
like
think
mostly
I
fine.
think it's soon to fall because a lot of people
Let's take
that
a look
you know.
if I can find it. Oh no, actually no. Give me. This is the one thing Edge is a little bit better about. Anheuser Busch. Oh, thank you for having it right at the top. Let's take a look. It's at $56.20. Over the course of a year, it's up $7.16.
Well, let's see the 5-year.
5-year down 33, but keep in mind 5-year, you can zoom into. Do you see this huge drop?
Yeah,
This
that was actually lower.
Well, yeah. This.
I wonder what happened at that time.
Do you know what it is? Can you see it? I don't know if it's zoomed in enough that you can see the dates.
It's March 13th.
March 13th, 2020. This is COVID. This is a this is a real drop.
Definitely.
They haven't been able to recover. If I go to like the entire lifetime, all the way up here in 2016, the drop is right here. This is COVID. And this is because when was that? Was that this year? Was the thing? This year was the
Yes,
the
with,
thing. Yeah, we're talking about this little piddle right here. This very damn it, I didn't mean to click that. Like this little notch here, no different than this other one in July of last year. So
yeah,
it's just
those don't define what exactly a dip is going to be. People just think that it's not going to be as profitable as it used to.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then it's going to play out over time. We're gonna see. This it's just a prediction of events, but at the same time, it follows historically like what people have done to promote whatever ideas that they want to promote. You
Yeah.
know,
And I only use this as an example. I only use
instance.
this as an example for the get woke, go broke narrative because it's not real. It just isn't. There just isn't this. Oh, this thing. Every time somebody's done the get woke, go broke, it never like. Oh, what's the other one? What is it? The Little Mermaid, which I don't think was a particularly not that one. Particularly good film to begin with. What am I looking for? Box office. Nope. I need the Mojo one. Let's take a look. And like again, worldwide, $500 million. They're just it's not real. Like this is something I need to drive down with people. Is like it's not real. I mean, it is. It
Little
is.
Mermaid is a big name, and they're not making as much as they would have if they, made it the way that it was.
I mean, do you think
original.
parents? I don't know if you have kids. Do you think parents pay attention to that sort of stuff?
No, a lot of parents don't. Definitely don't.
It's a Little Mermaid. It's a kids movie. That's all. That's all. That's about all. And keep in mind, these numbers also have to factor in that people are going to movie theaters just less since COVID. Like even at where I work, we did not see the kind of attendance that like. Actually, we saw a little bit more than we expected, but for a Disney mainstream, like classic remake, which none of them have been very good. If they were better movies, I think they would actually do a lot better, but they're good enough that Disney makes $500 million on each one of them. Mm-hmm. And it's just like the whole get woke, go broke stuff is just, it's cope, honestly. They did the same thing with The Last of Us Part 2, and The Last of Us Part 2 did incredibly well. And The Last of Us Part 2 had a trans character in it. A whole hog trans character.
Definitely. Okay, so Last of Us Part 2, one thing is that they had exceptional storytelling. Even
True.
In the like it didn't matter what they added at that point. Like it would have just been a beautiful film no matter what. One thing was that the game kind of suffered when it came out because of that issue. A lot of people said that they were not going to get the game just because there was a big issue with them killing off what the main character was it from the first game.
Yeah, spoilers, but I'm assuming everyone's played it by now.
Oh man, yeah, and that they attribute that to go woke, go broke, but I would just say that it's just bad storytelling. Like if you're going to prop up a character and then kill them off when everybody, a lot of people are going to take issue with that, and probably, if it gets propped up in the news, of course they're gonna be like, "Oh, I'm not gonna play that game now. This sucks."
Well,
Like,
yeah. I
that's
mean,
gonna
yeah.
have.
I have a friend of mine who won't play it because he knows one of the that Joel dies, and he's like, I'm just not gonna bother with it. And I'm like, that's fine. He's like, I like the character a lot. I wish they didn't do that. And I'm like, that's fine. You don't have to. But there were people who were, Joel getting killed off was oh, it's
Minor.
feminism gone too far. It's this, it's everything, and it's just. The people who made the
Exactly.
game made a creative decision that you didn't like. It's okay. It happens a lot of the time. I lived through the Game of Thrones final season. Trust me. I'm well aware of decisions that the creators or writers or whoever make for media that I like, and when I disagree with the decision making. Like, I'm with you on that. But like the idea that all of this stuff is like it's all I find to be just a lot of hysteria around trying to draw everything back into a culture war. Like, The Last of Us Part 2 did poorly, even though it didn't. But for people who think it did poorly, they'll go, oh, it's because there's a trans character in it. When the actual facts are, it didn't do poorly, A, but for the people that didn't want to play it, most of their issue was they liked Joel and wanted to see more of him. And they were really upset when he wasn't in the game, which is fine. But then they look at, they'll look at the Last of Us 2 getting review bombed on Metacritic, and they'll go, see, people don't like trans people. And I think that's bullshit. I think that's the same type of stuff that Heels vs. Babyface does. He sees something that most people don't mind, and most people have a problem with Starfield because it's probably buggy. It's definitely not the game that I think everyone was thinking it was going to be. And it's, not the deepest RPG in the world. And, there's a lot of people who are like,
give that game a chance.
I mean, it's fun. I played a bit of it.
That game.
Yeah, it's a Bethesda game.
Like, I remember playing Skyrim and loving the crap out of Skyrim.
Yeah, and people still remember that mostly. And with this one, there will be those people who go back into it regardless. But there's going to be, and I think like the reason why I did a video on his reaction was mainly to talk about this like kind of ignorant reaction, and in my opinion, a bit of a, if not controlled, I think he knew, or at the very least, like when the trans identity, when the concept of trans identity came to him in the small pockets that they did, he doesn't know anything but to react in the most extreme and ridiculous kind of way, because that's what his content is. It's
he banks
freaking
on that.
out and always being like, it's woke, it's this, and it's just, no. People made a decision somewhere along development. Hey, we should maybe put, like, it's pretty easy to swap out voice lines. Can we put like a non-binary option for those folks who want to role play as non-binary, whether they are in real life or aren't in real life? And and to have this kind of reaction, and I guess like my overall thing is just still like, I just don't, I just don't get what the defensive nature around it is about.
I mean, well, that's the thing. To me, I think that the all that outrage is because they don't want it for law, and so he just speaks out what he knows that his group is going to react to. Do
you think he's a grifter? Do you think he's being disingenuous? If he's just talking to his own in-group, then like, is he full of shit?
I don't think he's full of shit, because I feel like he just hangs out with people of that same very nature. You know what I mean?
He's in a echo chamber.
Yeah, that's what I would say that we're all in until we go out into the world and find out. That's what I feel. It's like most of the world would really be new to this when they go to United States. A lot, like at least 60% of the world, when going to United States, they're going to be like, oh yeah, that's pronouns. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Well, keep in mind also, around the world, there's history of trans identity and non-binary identity throughout like history. There's indigenous tribes from
Indian tribes.
Super far, way before any of these are countries, where having people of ambiguous gender was a normal thing, as a it's just kind of part of their society. I guess my thing is always just, if those people are shocked or if they're new to this, I guess I don't have anything other than to say, like, they need to educate themselves, and consuming content that's just going to tell them, no, this is that you should freak out over this, instead of taking a breath, going, I'm not used to this. I'm not, you go to other countries, you're not used to a lot of things. You're not used to the language. You're not used to the food. You're not used to the customs, and people assimilate. And there's no reason why, again, we should, I just don't feel like we should be debating or making trans identity political, in the sense that it's something to be debated, something that we shouldn't allow or shouldn't have in our video games or media, period.
See, I get that. Like in Japan, right? They have this one day out of the year, I believe, that they celebrate Penis Day. And they walk around with giant, penises, and, they celebrate the penis
Sounds very
as
funny.
sexual. It's very funny. But at the same time, like, you don't see anybody talking about it because it's in their tradition. They've been doing this for centuries.
Can't show any of this on stream, unfortunately. I'm looking at pictures that are actually hilarious. I cannot sadly show any of this on stream.
Yeah, that's hilarious. No, you're gonna have to put that on Patreon.
Yeah, that'll be a interesting. But anyway,
man.
continue.
But
Sorry.
yeah. So yeah, like, it's only over here because it's so new that something like this, is going to catch a lot of eyes, and is going to have people choosing sides between whether they want to be exposed to this type of stuff or not. And that's why I believe that it's a big political debate, is because more people are finding often than not that they don't know their neighbors. They don't know the people that they live
We are
around.
atomized, yeah.
Yeah, we're even more so now with COVID, that people are staying inside, and are figuring, oh, what's the point of going outside? I could just be in the VR and chill with people there and not have to worry about all these other things.
I mean, but okay,
But
so I'm kind of curious. Do you think, and again, I'm going to bring it back, we grew up at a different time, but do you think, and that's why I'm going to use this example again, but do you think this is, again, kind of what people would say about gay people, that, I'm not comfortable around it. I don't know if I want my kids around it. I don't know, I see it as degenerate, yada, 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 more traditional. Do you think people have the right to not be in society with trans people? Like, that's just like, you get to be like, no, you're not allowed to.
When you're choosing to be gay or trans, or if it's even a choice, because a lot of people, they say that, they were born that way or whatever. But, if you're choosing to go this direction, then you have to be totally committed, because there's always going to be new people that aren't, really versed in all these things. And it's going to be for a while, as long as you know these Muslim Chinese countries have, don't get with the program, I would say, that there's always going to be new people that are always going to find this as a political issue.
Yeah, and I
You
think
know?
those people are wrong at the end of the day. I like freedom, and I like people being able to live their lives as freely as they possibly can, without obviously incurring harm onto others. And when people, I just think when people freak out about the inclusion of gay or trans or black people into their video games, I think it's kind of cringe. And like, I think acceptance and like the normalization of trans identity in our society can only really result in good things. We only grow closer to each other. We only grow, I think, more connected as a nation. At the end of the day, trans people, they are part of our society. They are part of people who are making art. Go to any pride rally, you can see a lot of artists.
Definitely.
You're going to see a lot of artists. You're
Some
going to
of the
see a lot of
best, some of the
creatives.
best.
Yeah,
Some
yeah.
of the best, because they're exposed to so much that
Yeah.
they're able to, be able to be free and make all these interesting things. But one
And
thing
I think everyone
is
should be given that freedom.
I
Be able to
definitely believe that
experience as
too.
much as they can.
I definitely believe that too. I would just say that, it's goes back to my concern about how the old concern of the old generation, which was that the population will go down if more people are not having children. A lot of people are choosing, to undergo surgery, and then sometimes they regret it. And a lot of people are choosing, maybe I don't need a spouse and kids. Maybe a lot of people are choosing not to have kids, and that's definitely their choice, and they can do that. But I don't believe that all those type of things should be promoted, because we do want our country to do well. We do want more people, and people to, when people want to continue their ancestry in a country, they want, for their people to prosper when they move to America. They don't want to see like, oh, my family is now choosing not to not to follow certain religious norms that they used to have, and now go in a different direction than they were initially. That's the biggest that's why it's such a big debate to me.
Right. Well, let me. We've been talking for probably about, I think, like maybe somewhere around an hour and a half. So I'm gonna have to let you go. But let me respond to that, and then we'll have to bid each other farewell for a bit.
Yes.
In terms of when it comes to people who are concerned about population growth and that sort of stuff, I'll be honest. I think most of that is hogwash. I think a lot of people, especially in the United States, who use birth rates as a example of why we can't allow for gay and trans people and everybody else to exist, basically non-heterosexual couples, to exist and be and live amongst us, are quite frankly white supremacists. I would disagree. I think a lot of these same arguments were used for a long time to challenge interracial marriage. Before this, a lot of that rhetoric was the same stuff that you and I grew up with during the 90s and the 2000s over gay marriage and into obviously the 2010s. At the end of the day, I think when we're talking about population growth, we have ways to ameliorate that, right? We can open up immigration, allow more people in. We can allow for the adoption of kids into these families. We can do a lot of things. Trans people make up an incredibly small percentage of the population. And I don't really think that we are looking down the barrel of us, going into negative population growth. Or at the very least, I don't see us walking down. I shouldn't say that because that is technically an objective, like, measurement tool. But, like, I don't think we're at the point, and I don't think we have a problem where, oh, no, we're not going to be able to populate the earth anytime soon. What we're having trouble with, especially here in the United States, and you live here too, so you should know this. People can't afford to have kids. That's the, by far, number one reason people do not have children. It's why I don't have kids. It's why all 4 of my friends do not have children. Is economically, it's just not an option. It's hard enough putting food on the table, keeping a roof over everyone's head. The way that we've
I think people
let
are
the
still
system...
having kids.
People are still having kids, absolutely.
They're just
people aren't
deleting
planning
them a lot sooner than
People have kids by accident, or they don't for a really long time. That's been my experience. I know people who got pregnant in high school at the end. I know people who, got pregnant after, maybe like a year or two ago, after they've kind of settled down a bit.
Contraceptive is pretty new in our society. It hasn't been even a century yet.
What is? I'm sorry.
Contraceptive.
Yeah.
That stuff is pretty new. And
well, I mean, technically, condoms have been around for a really long time. Birth control, yes, but forms of birth control have existed for quite a long time.
Like we have way more access to it now than we've had before in any time. And,
certainly.
Condoms have become more reliable. I would say, but
also not made of pigskin.
Yeah.
But like, let me just say, because we're gonna get into a tangent, and I do got to let you go. My point with all of this is to say there's a lot of issues with how we've organized society, and I think a lot of them come down to economics. And I think the reason why somebody like Heels versus Babyface doesn't know any of this shit. I think he's ignorant of a lot of things. But at the end of the day, the Republican Party and a lot of right-wing media generally is attempting to distract most people from, and especially their views, from economics. You don't really hear Ben Shapiro, any of those guys. You don't hear them talk about economics a lot. They talk about immigration. They talk about trans rights. They talk about gay rights. They talk about woke culture. And the reason they do that is because economics would actually solve a lot of this. Not enough people are having kids? Well, it's because having kids is too expensive. But you would have to tax some of the rich a little bit more and distribute the wealth a little bit better. And unfortunately, people like Daily Wire employees just aren't really that interested in it. That's not the politics that animates them. They are interested in, I don't even think that. I think they're more interested in making like, you know, the birth rate issue a gay people existing issue, partially because they're incredibly religious and traditional, but I think partially because it's just not the thing they want to talk about. They're not interested in the economics of it. They're not interested in raising wages, raising taxes, offering universal systems for people to get healthcare, people to get education, people to actually start small businesses. No, none of them are interested in any of that. And people like Heels versus Babyface watch their content, absorb no economic information, no perspective on the economics of the world, and when they're faced with pronouns in their video games, freak the fuck out because all they know is the reason why the world is where it is isn't because people can't pay for rent, isn't because people can't pay for housing, isn't because people can't afford vacations, people can't properly invest, people don't have retirement plans. No, it's because gay people exist and we're not making enough kids. And that it's just kind of a rough cycle, I think. But yeah, I've talked for a long time. I rambled just now for a good break. I really
appreciate being on your show.
I appreciate you coming on and speaking openly. I really do.
And I feel like we had a real civil debate. It was really cool.
Yeah, I label things debates just because, let's be honest, it's the SEO thing to do. But I try not to approach these too aggressively. But either way, yeah, by all means, stick around as much as you'd like. You're not gonna grab water.
Well, you have a blessed day.
Yeah, absolutely. You too. God, I think I just literally ran out of whatever the voice equivalent is of gas. But yeah, I appreciate you coming on. I mostly say to everybody, there's always an open invitation. So, if you ever have a topic you want to talk about, by all means, reach out. You know where to go for that. And same with anybody watching, you should know where to go for that. But,
alrighty, man.
Yeah.
Well,
you have yourself a nice night.
Peace.
Bye-bye. All right. Well, that was fun, now wasn't it, guys? All right, we're gonna do this. So hopefully nobody perks up in the thing. I know Leviathan, or I don't know if that's their screen name or on Twitch or anything. Is this still muted? Okay, I just did. Cool. Wonderful. Actually, let's just disconnect from that altogether. All right. Let me drink some water, y'all, because yeah, my voice literally, I think I hit the fucking empty there at the end. I live in an apartment. You can kind of see it up there in that corner. We got popcorn ceilings, all sorts of dust and everything. So, sometimes it gets a bit dusty and dry in here. Anyway, let me go on like a super quick break just to kind of fix that. And then we'll be back and we'll get into some of the stories. We got a little over an hour. So maybe should we do the Biden one? I care about the Biden one a little bit more. Let's do the Biden story. I don't really care as much about the Trump advisor. And then we'll do some video stuff, huh? Yeah, sound good? Cool.
Could not shop at Target, or else you're gay.
Spit in my mouth, look in my eyes.
Just to simplify this, I think we're just going to use.
May keep the pantyhose on. This feels kind of good, actually.
Larger than that, Dark. I live like a capitalist every single day.
Beat it up, N-word.
What is more important to our culture than the Joker? I don't don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
I like black guys a lot.
The alpha males are back.
I forgot to unmute that. All right, there we go. All right, lovely. So, should we? What did I say? That said, we're gonna do the environment. That's right. Joe Biden. Okay, so Joe Biden, current U.S. president, not my favorite president in the world, but has made a lot of decent strides in terms of the labor, in terms of his record on labor, which I've actually heard a really strong argument is mainly due to Bernie Sanders and his push for being a pro-labor president during the presidential primaries in the Democratic Party. So never let it be said that, you know, a challenge in the Democratic primary by a progressive is completely useless. But unfortunately, we need to talk about something which Biden has not done great on, and something that you know, the left and a lot of climate activists have been rather upset with him, which stems around the ANWR, which is kind of the Alaskan wildlife regions. What's it called? Sorry, around drilling on those lands. So let's get into it really quickly. All right. Biden administration is canceling the only 7 oil and gas leases in the Arctic, Arctic and Wildlife Refuge in Alaska. The teasers were originally, wait a minute. Willow Project moves forward. Wait a minute. Sparks criticism. Wait, who the fuck? I read that incorrectly. That's actually kind of based. Okay, so maybe I'm just wrong because I read the headline and didn't quite understand. I thought they were getting criticism from a different group. Just kidding. Let's just learn. Let's read and we'll just learn together. Leases were originally issued by the Trump administration over the protests of environmentalists and some Alaska Native groups who argue the region should be protected as a critical wildlife habitat. In January of 2021, 9 leases covering more than 43,000 acres were issued by the Trump administration. The Biden administration has already canceled and refunded 2 of the leases at the request of the leaseholders, the Alaska Industrial Development and Export Authority, a state-owned economic development corporation, owned the remaining 7 leases. This action applies to those tracts. With today's action, no one will have rights to drill oil in the most sensitive landscapes on Earth, said Interior Secretary. Oh shit. Okay, so I'm full of shit. Wait, no, isn't the Willow Project? Wait. I thought Willow Project. Do I just have my factions mixed up? Willow. No, not Willow Smith. I know that project. Now he's cracking down on drilling. Explain. Do I just have the absolute wrong? Oh, the Willow Project is this. Okay, sorry. I was like mixing up an activist group. Maybe it's just me, but like Willow Project sounds like an activist group. ConocoPhillips' Willow Project is a massive and decades-long oil drilling venture. Okay. So let's remember that. Okay. Yeah. The move drew quick pushback from Alaska's 2 Republican senators who originally voted for the 2017 Tax Cut and Jobs Act, the law that required Trump to hold the oil and gas lease sale. Speaking to reporters in the Capitol, Senator Dan Sullivan accused Biden of not following the law. Quote, they just yanked those leases, but now we're going to get ready for the next lease sale. Give me a break. Who the hell in their right mind would invest money in a lease sale when they just watched the first lease sale get yanked? The administration is required to hold at least one more lease sale in ANWR. Senior administrative officials said they, quote, intend to comply with the law in regards to that mandate, which requires another lease sale by December of 2024. The original sale held during the last weeks of the Trump administration drew I just realized I should have put this on. Drew unexpectedly little industry interest. Major oil companies did not participate, and the state of Alaska was the largest bidder. Senator Lisa Murkowski told reporters on the Hill she wants to put pressure on Biden to reverse his decision, but cautioned that it's, quote, incredible to think that people are going to trust this administration or anything related to oil in Alaska. So, okay, now that I've properly remembered that the Willow Project is not an activist group, so something that we've seen the Biden administration do a lot of is a lot of like, small little, it's kind of like do a little bit of good, but then do one really big bad. The big bad in this case is the Willow Project, a huge drilling an oil pipeline that's going to, that's going to basically be the big project that Biden is going to allow to happen. Meanwhile, he's tamping down on these kind of little and more local ones. From activists, it seems like the angle is, why are we approving any of this? Like, if you're going to, why are you shutting down all these littler projects, but then you're allowing something like the Willow Project, a really huge one? Inconsistency is kind of the word of the day in terms of Biden's record on the environment, which, coming up in an election year, I'm not sure if inconsistent really wants to be your record, especially when, as president, Biden has been inconsistent on labor, but I think overall it's like a 65-35 in the positive, maybe even a 60-40 positive the negative, because you have a lot of good instances of labor defense from the Biden administration, but you unfortunately have stuff like the big rail strike, which Biden didn't want to happen during the holiday season under his administration, and I think from that he made kind of a much more political calculation on that one. That would just generally probably not look great, which didn't mean to open that, which again, inconsistency is kind of the word I would use for this administration, and it's not always great when you're coming up on an election year. Haaland said the environmental reviews done under the Trump administration all to allow the lease sales were, quote, fundamentally flawed and based on a number of fundamental legal deficiencies. According to a Biden White House release, this includes failure to adequately analyze a reasonable range of alternatives and properly quantify downstream greenhouse gas emissions, as well as failure to properly interpret the 2017 tax cut law. The administration said Wednesday's announcement, quote, does not impact valid existing rights from developing leases. Environmental groups cheer with caution. The refuge, commonly referred to as ANWR, is a habitat for wildlife including grizzly and polar bears, caribou, and hundreds of thousands of migratory birds. It has been the center of an ongoing political and legal battle related to drilling for decades. Wednesday's announcement was largely applauded by environmental protection groups. So, again, let's all keep in mind, the more that we end up drilling and terraforming all over the earth, the less we have for the rest of the species and animals to kind of do their part in terms of in terms of kind of their part of keeping the planet functioning. The White House also announced new protections for millions of acres across Alaska's North Slope and in the Arctic Ocean, over 13 million acres in the National Petroleum Reserve Alaska, or NPRA. A vast swath of land on Alaska's North Slope will be off limits to oil and gas drilling, following up on a proposal earlier this year. While the new regulations will block new oil and gas leases in the protected areas, they will not block the development of existing leases in the NPR-A, including ConocoPhillips's controversial Willow Project. Alaska oil drilling projects have been top of mind for both the administration and voters this year. The latest announcement comes several months after Biden approved the Willow Project, the biggest new oil development in Alaska in decades, resulting in blowback to the administration. While climate and environmental advocacy organizations largely praised the recent changes, some also called for additional action from the administration, particularly to block future projects. Quote, We can't stop here if we are going to address the climate crisis in the Arctic, said Mike Scott, Sierra Club's national oil and gas campaign manager, in a statement. The climate goals President Biden has set are necessary and ambitious, and massive oil and gas projects like Willow only put us further from achieving them. Yeah, keep in mind also, this is one of those cases where, you know, the Biden administration has made promises, or at the very least has like set bars for like progress in terms of like, you know, oh, this is, you know, this is kind of the emissions output that we want to achieve, and doing all of these little actions kind of get negated when you've got one enormous you know, Willow Project size gas line that's going to be installed up there. Oceana's acting campaign director, Michael Mesmer, in a statement he wants Biden to halt offshore drilling, quote, by issuing a 5-year plan with no new leases. Others, like Earth Justice Alaska attorney Jeremy Lieb, called on the Interior Department to conduct a full review of the climate impacts of potential fossil fuel development in the Western Arctic. The idea that that hasn't been done, that we haven't done a risk assessment, is kind of crazy. Senior administration officials said they have no updated timeline. Oh, excuse me. Other lease sales required by the 2017 law in 2024. Most recently, Elise Joshi, a climate activist with the group Gen Z for Change, interrupted White House Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre to confront the administration specifically with concerns about the Willow Project. But the administration insisted the new projects are separate from the decision about the Willow Project. Quote, there are two entirely different processes, said a senior administration official said on Wednesday. Its approval has raised concerns from other young voters who see climate as a more important electoral issue than their older counterparts. It'll be really interesting come also, I just realized I shifted in the fun half, not the BRB. Doesn't matter. It's going to be really interesting to see come 2024 because Biden is going to need the youth vote. And young voters, especially young voters in America, are rather interested and centered around the climate issue. And, you know, if you watch the Republican primary debate, something tells me they are not going to be garnering a lot of the young vote, which is really unfortunate for them because they're going to need quite a lot of it. Considering the Republican Party runs almost exclusively on boomer votes and probably older Gen Z votes, older Gen X voters, they're going to need quite a lot of help in their messaging in terms of reaching the under 35 bracket. There's just and Biden, and the problem that Biden's going to run into is he's done himself absolutely no favors by approving stuff like the Willow Project and then trying to make up for it in these kind of smaller actions. Because that inconsistency just drives a certain amount of anxiety and distrust from your voters. And again, he's going to need a lot of that trust to actually be able to reach a lot of those young voters. So we'll kind of see how that turns out for the administration. I'm not really super confident that they're going to be able to what's the word I'm looking for? I think to what's the word I'm looking for? I just don't know if they're gonna be able to really engage with that voter base as well as they hope they're going to be. You can for sure bet that they're hoping, okay, with Trump running, all the Gen Zers are gonna know, okay, we kind of need to show up for Biden, but even then, I don't know if you can really bet on that as much as you'd like to. But either way, should we do some videos? Okay, I think we should. I think videos would be good. We got like an hour left. Should we do PragerU and UBI? Yeah, I like PragerU and UBI. All right, let's do it. We'll do this one first.
How does this sound?
All right, so, all right. Shush, be quiet. Let me intro before you go and talk, presenter man. All right, so UBI, or Universal Basic Income, is a policy that was popularized primarily, when was that? In the 2020 Democratic primary by Andrew Yang, a center-left, kind of more of a centrist, I would say. Candidate for president during their primary, somebody who I think gained a lot of support with their proposal of UBI. UBI being basically a government stipend for everybody every single month for them to basically pay all of their needs by. The idea would be, okay, let's say we sent everybody $1,000, right? If you just got sent $1,000 from the government every single month, what kind of difference would that make? The assumption behind that is, oh, well, if people just received $1,000, they would probably pay down a lot of their debt. They would probably pay all of their rent with that, and every dollar that they make, they earn from working would then instead go back into the economy, go into buying goods, go into buying services, go into, anything really. And the idea is that we could cut out, and this is the part of it that I'm not a big fan of. The idea would be that we can cut out a lot of social programs, a lot of money that we spend on social programs, and instead drive all of that towards the universal basic income system. I'm not a huge fan of it, although, I think UBI is worth talking about. It's at the very least mildly interesting. It kind of, me personally, I would do like a UBI plus a bunch of other stuff. But PragerU, a rather conservative network, has done a video which is fun. It's interestingly named "Who Wouldn't Want Universal Basic Income?" So I'm kind of curious who they think doesn't want everybody to be given basically enough to live a subsistence lifestyle and have everything else from their employment to be their expendable income. So let's go take a look, shall we?
How does this sound? $1,000 a month.
Oh my God, that's
no
really
questions asked. You don't even have to buy a lottery ticket.
Cool. Sounds
All you
fun.
have to do is breathe.
Oh, by the way, I just want to say, during COVID, we saw the effects of COVID payments to people. We saw those effects. People were already receiving a lot of, a ton of people were already receiving, at the very least, a comparable amount of compensation through the unemployment network when everybody got laid off, got sent home, deferment, or not deferment. When everything shut down, everyone went home, right? Everyone went onto the unemployment rolls, and most everybody, I think I actually got paid a little bit more. When I did the math, I actually got paid a little. Oh no, wait, no, was it a little bit more? Because how much did I get paid? I got paid. Oh God, yeah, it was like really decently more than what I would have made. But we also sent checks out to people, and what we noticed was poverty. A lot of people's debts got paid. A lot of people, while we were giving out money for the child tax credit, we cut, childhood poverty in like half, I believe. I think it was like 45%. So like, we know that just sending people money, just sending them money is the fastest and most efficient way for people to, pay all their bills and for them to, to kind of solve their economic woes. We know that, certainly.
Too good to be true? Well, that depends on your view of UBI, or Universal Basic Income.
Who is this person?
UBI is an idea that has been kicking
Aldo Buttazzoni. Interesting.
around for a while. The concept goes like this.
Are you
Give
gonna
people
stare at
enough
me?
money
Okay,
to
thank
take
God.
care of their basic needs,
Right.
and we can eliminate poverty.
Right.
In other words, we establish
Yep.
a floor below which no one will fall.
Yeah, that is correct. If you establish a floor that is above poverty, that people are allowed to fall under, you will have eliminated poverty. That is true.
Every citizen is provided for. Appealing, no? After all, we live in the wealthiest country on earth.
No,
yet
appealing,
we have
yes.
people living in the street.
Yeah.
It's a moral travesty.
Oh, well, no. I mean, it is, but no. The reason why we have that is because of income inequality. Because at the end of the day, we don't have a proper system to keep people out of extreme poverty. And we have so many predatory institutions between, like predatory credit cards, between like, you know, the way that policing is done in this country. It's literally illegal to not own a home and like to you know, to be homeless. So
UBI solves it. Of course, there's the small question of who is going to pay for it. Giving $1,000 a month.
Isn't this always the question, right? Isn't this always the, oh, you want universal health care? Who's gonna pay for it? Well, the rich. That's who. It's actually pretty obvious. You increase taxes progressively on the rich. There you go. They don't need it. It sits in bank accounts. Increase taxes. Boom. Solved it.
To every American citizen, that's the universal part of UBI, would cost something like $3 trillion a year.
Woo!
That would make it by far the most expensive item in the federal budget.
True.
Of course, everyone's taxes would have to go up to pay for this gigantic new expense.
That is, let's be clear, that is true. Normal people's taxes are going to go up. You're also going to get $1,000 a month. So factor that in a little bit. A, but also B, keep in mind, like, taxes going up. Yeah, that's gonna. Yep, that's definitely gonna happen. Now, when they say taxes are, you know, taxes are gonna go up, let's be clear. That is depending on who's writing the UBI. If it's me, then you can believe that after $20 million, oh buddy, buddy, your tax rate at the $20 million, woo, woo, you're gonna be doing backflips. You're not gonna believe how high that percentage is. Same with over $10 million. Over $1 million. Because, you know, making $1 million a year, bro, you ain't gonna miss it. You ain't gonna miss it.
How much? David Henderson, an economist at the Hoover Institution, calculates that to pay for UBI, the federal government would have to increase taxes by 74%.
On who? On who?
Venture investor and former Democratic presidential candidate Andrew Yang, a vocal proponent of
there
UBI,
you go. There you go, yeah.
says we can fund UBI with a 10% value added tax, which means that everything you buy will have a 10% surcharge built in.
All right, so let's see. Whoa. Milk is not $8, pal. Milk is, I think, $3. Is that how much milk is these days? What did we buy? Fuck, I don't remember how much I bought milk for. Yeah, milk, like, if you get like a gallon, I think it's like $3.29 right now. So, like, keep in mind, $3.29. That means you're looking at a 32 cent. Yeah, right? Because that would be 10%. You're looking at a 32-cent increase from $2.39 or from $3.29 to like was that $3.60 or so? And for that, for that on everything, just a little 10%, you get, you know, I think I don't think that's crazy.
Would Americans agree to such a big tax on top of all the taxes they already pay? Seems unlikely. The chances then that we could raise the money in taxes by any method to pay for the program are almost zero. That means the government would have to make up the difference. That is,
I'm sorry, I was reading something
debt,
that I was going to bring up, which was, keep in mind also how much money is being hoarded around the world from offshore bank accounts. The rich, unlike most Americans, don't just simply have a bank account in their you know, in the country and that they pull from. No, they have a lot of their money in stock, but when they have money in liquid, usually they hold it in other nations in what are called tax havens. $1.24 billion has been recovered from investigations and since the Panama Papers in 2016. So let's keep that in mind. $1.24 billion that just should have been taxed in this country. We should have been $1.2 billion richer as a country in terms of our ability to pay for things for taxes. And we weren't, because just, you know, rich people hid their money. I want to see if I can find... I'll let this play. I want to see if I can find the... Wait, is that what it was? One second. I want to know... Revenue recovery. No. I want to know how much estimated. Because there is a number. The tax havens? Allegations, responses. No. Leaked. Let's see. 214 offshore. God damn it. Okay. Like I said, I'm going to have this play while I try to find it.
Just another way of saying print more money. The inflation this would
Oh, yeah.
almost
Wait. I need to go back because I didn't hear his stupid point.
That means the government by any method seems unlikely. The chances then that to such a big tax on top of all the tax, which means that everything you buy will have a 10% surcharge built in.
$8.97. Okay.
Would Americans agree to such a big tax?
$8.97. Wait, how much is? Wait. First of all, your milk would already have to be $8, which means you're not even paying an extra dollar yet. Like, okay, that's really not that bad.
On top of all the
difference
taxes
between $8 and $9 for milk
seems unlikely. The chances then that we could raise the money in taxes by any method to pay for the program are almost zero. That means the government would have to make up the difference. That is, go deeper into debt, which is just another way of saying print more money.
Well, no, if you tax properly, you wouldn't have to go into debt. That's the whole thing. Also, debt isn't actually the worst thing in the world. We are in a debtor's economy, and the U.S. is the global currency. So debt really isn't as dangerous for us as it is for other nations.
The inflation this would almost certainly cause would raise prices and make the dollars people were getting from UBI worth steadily less, therefore defeating the purpose of the entire enterprise.
This is why you have, by the way, this is why you have price controls, something for which this person is not in favor of.
Of course, some proponents say that UBI would make many existing government assistance programs, like food stamps and Medicaid, unnecessary, and that would save a lot of money.
Now, I'm not sure why Medicaid would be on this list. Like, why would it Medicaid? People don't have insurance yet. Like, just because they have an extra $1,000 every month, that doesn't mean that like suddenly you don't need your medical care taken care of. Food stamps, on the other hand, is frequently cited as something that we can completely get rid of, along with a couple other social safety nets, which, by the way, I don't think we need to get rid of. I think we can do both. Again, it's mostly just all about how you tax, especially the ultra wealthy.
Okay, but as generous,
like you've probably heard Bernie Sanders say it before. Like, do a Wall Street speculation tax, and you will reap in so much fucking money. Like what? I think it was like 4 cents for every transaction. Like, imagine 4 cents every single time, especially how digitized stock trading has become. Oh my God, rake in so much money every single transaction. You just get 4 cents on the stock market. Be over.
As a $1,000 monthly giveaway might seem, do you really think it would cover food, healthcare, and other living expenses, let alone your iPhone? For the sake of argument, let's say money or inflation were not big obstacles. Would it be a good idea then? UBI supporters would, of course, say yes. When people are free from survival concerns, they contend, they are free to pursue their true interests. Instead of merely making money, they would have time for creative writing, or taking long walks, or whatever interests them.
Well, sure, they might do those. You know what else they might do? Which, by the way, the people who donate to politicians, you know what they don't want? They don't want these people going and starting rival businesses with that money. That's the thing that they don't want. You think Walmart wants extra money in people's pockets so they can buy probably better products? Maybe challenge them, open a store of their own? Competition. None of these places, Walmart, Target, none of these motherfuckers, none of them want competition. And that's what you're going to see. Yeah, you're going to see a bunch of people getting into their hobbies, which I think is good, by the way. That's a good thing. But you're also going to see people start to branch out and actually become competitors in the economy.
And here's another plus. People would only have to take a job that they find fulfilling because they wouldn't have to worry about the basics.
Yeah.
But given what we know of human nature, another scenario seems much more likely. People would spend a lot more time on the couch, playing video games, or swiping their way.
Wait. Because of human nature. What? Wait. I'm sorry. The idea that video games are part of human nature? No. What the fuck are you talking about? No. Human nature is not. We have not been playing video games since the fucking Stone Age. Like, what? You know what else also? Like, this also comes down to like, oh yeah, if you got $1,000, first of all, by the way, UBI would not like at all give you enough money to like live, like it wouldn't be like, oh cool, I got like $1,000 and my rent is $100, so I have $900 a month to like buy TVs and buy, like, no. First of all, $1,000 a month, by the way, isn't actually that much. Like, if I got $1,000 a month, that would be rent, and that's actually kind of it. Like, it would just be rent. So like everything else would still have all the rest of those bills. Most people would still end up working, but the difference is they wouldn't be working jobs. They wouldn't be working at McDonald's grinding their teeth and going, I fucking hate it here. They wouldn't be working at fucking Walmart for their like shitty wages. You unlock people's ability to make actually free decisions, not work for Walmart or go destitute, poor, and die starving, also being homeless. Like, you take care of a lot of those things, and the pressure for working for a lot of these shitty companies goes away. Why would anybody work at Walmart unless they had to? Let's be real about that. Nobody thinks to themselves, oh yeah, Walmart, the company that pays people so poorly that they have to go on food stamps and other government assistance while holding a 40-hour job. Oh, Walmart, the company that decimates local economies. Oh, Walmart, the wonderful company that just props up a bunch of shitty warehouse buildings that look god-awful, that like have absolutely no value to the community other than like destroying their economy and looking like a giant fucking eyesore in the middle and creating an enormous parking lot. That's what Walmart does. That's the value that Walmart brings to a community. But, given the ability for people to get the jobs they'd actually like, you can be a writer. If you want to be a writer, you want to write books, go do that. You'll probably have to get a job. You'll probably have to get a normal job. But at the very least, you're not stuck to that normal job. You're not, and anybody who's worked has experienced this. Your options right now are work or fucking starve. Those are your options. Take a couple weeks off, unpaid leave. Good fucking luck. At the end of the day, like, people just don't have the space to start businesses, to pursue their hobbies, to take a break. And that's exactly what Walmart and companies like. They like that you don't have other options. They like that desperation, because that desperation means you're going to take a wage that you shouldn't. That desperation means that the wage that you get, you're going to be thanking God that you even get that. You're going to thank God that, oh man, thank God I even got this $13.25 wage. Doesn't pay all the bills, but I work this job and another job and I cobble it together. But given a UBI, given more equitable distribution of money and of resources, you're going to notice a lot more startups happening. The only reason why I get to do this is just because I'm lucky enough that I'm not the breadwinner. That's the only reason. Because I have time to be able to dedicate to this. This doesn't just happen. Talk to ask any YouTuber, especially newer ones. Doing this takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort, takes a lot of resources, takes a lot of investment. And if you don't have the space and the ability to do any of that, to compile all those resources, then guess what? You're working somewhere 40 hours a week. Miserable. Taking long bathroom breaks just to be on your phone, to imagine doing literally anything else.
Way through TikTok. And then there's the dignity that comes from work, from making your own way in the world, developing habits of personal responsibility. Do we care about that? And then there's given what we know of human nature, another scenario seems much more likely. People would spend a lot more time on the couch, playing video games, or swiping their way through TikTok. And then there's the dignity
Why would they be swiping their way through TikTok? They can go outside. They have a lot of free time. They can go actually out into the community. Most people spend their time on TikTok because there aren't third spaces. There aren't places for people to go. Like, what would be the interest in TikTok? What would be the interest in a lot of social media? Social media, people, they want to keep you on social media, quite frankly. By they, I mean the companies. But their goal is to keep you on the platform so that they can harvest your data. That's all. That's the only real reason. It's not to create community. It's not to create friendships, any of the rest of that bullshit. It's to harvest your data and sell it to data brokers.
That comes from work, from making your own way in the world, developing habits of personal responsibility.
Wait. Is dignity working for somebody that you, in doing a job you hate? Is that what dignity is to these people? Dignity is gritting your teeth and working for the next boss miserably. That's dignity. Fucking developing habits of personal responsibility. Understand, this is the paternalistic view and approach of conservative politics. This, you're not responsible. We need to mold you, break you down into being a responsible member of society. And what is a responsible member of society? Going and making somebody who owns property, somebody who owns capital, money. That's what being a responsible and well habit forming person is. The developing habits is you doing the thing that your manager says for the wage that doesn't pay all of your bills, and you shutting the fuck up about it. And the personal responsibility is every time you have to file all of your bills and watch your bank account fucking drop to $100. That's personal responsibility. Personal responsibility is seeing the system as it is now, broken and quite frankly predatory to most people, and going, you know what, there's nothing I can do. The best I can do is try my best. The best I can do is make money for my owner, so maybe they give me a little bit more in wages. That's the best you can do.
Do we care about that? Or is that just a remnant of an outdated way of looking at life? And what if UBI flat out just doesn't work?
And also and also keep in mind, the idea that you're not participating in the system that we have now means that you don't have personal responsibility or good habits or any of that shit, is again just them saying that fuck you, get in line. You're not shit until you're working for a boss.
Anyone really think $1,000 a month is what separates a homeless drug addict from a productive life?
There we go.
Is $1,000 handout going to give someone purpose or meaning? Furthermore, wouldn't UBI stoke resentment?
The one above it.
Nobody likes to toil so that their neighbor can play. That's hardly a recipe for social cohesion.
Wait, what? One second.
Really think $1,000 a month is what separates a homeless drug addict from a productive life?
Well, to a degree, yeah. The problem when you're homeless is you're poor. You can't afford things anymore. You've fallen under a dire fate, and now you have no ability to actually, continue to pay for housing, which, by the way, the state is more than happy to arrest you and send you to a private prison where, some rich owner had a prison built so that the government can pay them a rent fee for your stay in prison. Keep in mind, private prisons exist in basically every state. Although I do know some states are trying to push back on a lot of them. But keep in mind, like, for every person that we house, that's $1 that they are subsidized by the government.
Is $1,000 handout going to give someone purpose or meaning? Furthermore,
well, no, it's not going to give them those things. It will give them the ability to find those things. If you are homeless and within the first 2 months of being homeless, you have $2,000 to spend. And you know what? I have some experience with this, not directly and not being homeless, but I have coworkers who have come out of the prison system and gotten and worked where I work. And you know what I talked to them about? As they were getting out of the entire system, as they were being released back into full participation in society, they had, I think if I remember correctly, they had like $4,000 saved up. I was like, oh man, they saved up all their money from working while they were in the halfway house. I asked them, I was like, oh, so what are you going to do? You got like $4,000, that doesn't get you super far. And they're like, nah, man, I'm the minute I'm free, I got a place lined up. I got the first, month first like 2 months, like ready to go. I got a place I can get into. I'm looking into getting a car. I already have this job, so I'll be able to keep all that stuff up. They were able to hit the ground running, and now they're doing fine. You would never know that they were in prison for like however long. I actually don't remember how long they said they were in prison. But like, yeah, that I say all of this to say, yeah, you give a homeless person $1,000, you know what the first thing they're gonna do is probably find a way to roll that into finding a place to live. This is why it's why that we find housing first initiatives work best, because once you give people a place to actually settle, they're able to get on their feet. Homelessness and the nomadic nature of it makes it incredibly precarious. You're you're a slave to the outside world for a long time. Trying, like, a lot of times I've heard people, they're like, oh, get a job. Well, how are you supposed to get a job? You don't got a computer. You don't have a resume. You can't email people. You need resources. $1,000 wouldn't even solve this, but certainly it would go towards helping people. Almost certainly.
Or wouldn't UBI stoke resentment? Nobody likes to toil so that their neighbor can play. That's hard.
Well, first of all, that would be under the assumption that everybody who works and pays taxes, first of all, this person is almost certainly paying taxes. But like, at the end of the day, this is all framing it around, nah, man, you're the hardworking person who decided to accept capitalism the way it is now, and there's some other guy that under UBI is going to shirk regular capitalism. You know what? Why don't you be the guy on the couch? Why don't you take a break? Why don't you pursue your interests? This is more of that like grievance kind of politics that I can't fucking stand. Like, if somebody else is doing better through X government program, somehow I'm hurt by that. As a person, as a human being with a soul unlike this asshole, I like to see people thriving. I like to see people doing well. I like to see people pursuing their hobbies, their interests, being able to actually live the life they want to live. If I am the person at the top, I am hoping that the person at the bottom is figuring out what they're going to do with their lives because they have all the freedom. And I am hoping that when they start working, I do the same. Because if anything, if I had UBI, guess what? If we had that system, if whatever, that guy up at the top probably also is like, oh, I can reduce my hours at work. I can kind of take it easy. I can maybe, get into my hobbies, get into my interests, do a few things. Like, UBI and the universal nature of it is one that everybody can take advantage of. It's not like the guy at the top doesn't get his $1,000. He does as well. If anything, he's probably living a higher quality of life than this guy if he's not working. He's only living a subsistence lifestyle. This dude is working and getting the UBI. He's probably living even better.
Hardly a recipe for social cohesion. There's something else to consider when discussing the downside of UBI. Once you give people things for free, it's very hard to take free away from them.
That's true.
That's pretty much a universal law.
Well, yes, there's a reason why Medicare and Social Security are the most popular programs in the United States. It's because everybody pays into them, everybody benefits from them. This is the backbone of universal systems. Everybody has buy-in, everybody benefits. That's how it works. Like, again, the whether the $1,000, that everybody gets it. There isn't the working people get it, the poor the unworking don't. This isn't the unworking get it while the working don't. No, everybody gets it. Everyone buys in, everyone benefits.
It's also a universal law that government programs expand, taking on a life of their own.
Wait, what? What is expand? Medicare hasn't expanded. If anything, Medicare has shrunk because the actual age of being able to retire has moved back so much. I don't even, I'm trying to think, when can I retire? Let's see. Actually, we can do this over here. When can I retire? 1992. Let's take a look. The age at which you can gain access to full Social Security benefits depends on the year you were born. You were born between 1943 and 54. In FRA, your FRA or full social benefit is 66. If your birthday is 1960 or after, then you get 67. And yeah, and they keep kind of moving that back, or at least there's threats to move that back. So yeah, I like it. Like the pool of people would actually decrease a bit. I mean, not the pool of individuals, but the eligibility standards.
Maybe $1,000 a month will be good enough to start, but how long before it's not enough?
Keep
Do
increasing.
we have
it?
examples where UBI has been tried? The answer is yes. Not in its $1,000 a month form, but in more limited ways. Finland tried a UBI program from January 2017 until December 2018 and then gave up.
Right.
2,000 unemployed Finns got a monthly payment of $640.
Wait. That's not UBI. 2,000 unemployed people? That. First of all, if you actually want, well, no, that's not a UBI system. Actually, I was gonna say Alaska, but who does benefit from? Well, actually, no, that's a lie. UBI is implemented in Alaska. In Alaska, because of all the drilling that goes on, the entire state. If you live in the state of Alaska, you get a paycheck every single month from the use of your lands by oil companies.
There were no employment gains above the expected rate, but many participants said they felt happier and less stressed.
I bet.
Duh. Free money tends to have that effect. A few American cities have also tried limited forms of UBI. Some of these programs are ongoing.
I'm sorry. 2,000 unemployed people? Like, population. There are 5.5 million people, and his example of UBI is 2,000 unemployed people in Finland. Fucking clown. Fucking stupid. Jesus.
Stockton, California gave a few hundred people $500 a month. The city...
Again, this isn't UBI. That's not UBI. The universal. It's in the first goddamn letter.
Government reported that the participants really liked it.
Oh,
why
my
wouldn't
God.
they? What did anyone think they'd say? No, stop giving me money. I don't want it anymore. UBI might sound compassionate, but it's really not.
Wait,
because it doesn't free people.
Wait. I'm sorry. Are we just leaving those up as examples, even though they're like the farthest thing from a UBI example? We're just not going to contextualize any of that. Just move right on. Okay.
People, it enslaves them to the government.
Oh, here we go.
I'm Aldo Buttazzoni for Prager University.
Wow.
Thank you for watching.
So, what have we learned today? That Aldo, whatever the fuck his name is, doesn't know what UBI is, but did an entire video on it and can't name an example of UBI. Do we understand how honestly bereft they are of a strong argument? And again, I'm not the biggest proponent or fan of UBI. I'm like open. I am very open to UBI being a, at the very least debated, discussed. Like, I'm happy to see it become like part of normal conversation. It sadly hasn't since, 2021, we basically stopped talking about it. But no, the UBI at the very least is interesting. It's an interesting alternative to our current system, a way to fix the slow trudge in late stage capitalism. But it's just what the best thing we can look at is, and also there wasn't anything bad in those. People were happier and less stress. Don't you think those are good things? Those are good metrics to. That's just weird. That was a weird. I don't know what that was, but yeah. Either way, UBI, it's a thing. I'm open to debates about it. I'm not sold or unsold on it. I personally just kind of want to see, if you're asking me what's at the top of my agenda, I want to see universal healthcare. I want to see universal college in this country, or at the very least, universal access to college. So those are kind of my two big ones, along with a lot of antitrust. But UBI is certainly something interesting to talk about. But I'm glad this is the that's the strongest argument against it. Hey, people really like it, but moral quandary, moral issue I have with it, I don't know, man. But so speaking of which, sticking kind of on the economics of things, I noticed a video from Ben Shapiro's female doppelganger, Brett Cooper, entitled "You Have to Work, Sorry." And you know, again, I'm really curious to see how this is going to end up, because keep in mind, if you're on the younger side of things, again, I'm 31, I'm fairly young. I'm in that, in that the younger voter demographic, I believe, or maybe, I don't know. Am I still in the younger voter demographic? Usually it's like 18 to 35. Yeah. I'm in the 18 to 35 voter range. That's young voters. And like a lot of most voters, I tend to find that the 40-hour work week, or at the very least the 8-hour work week, 8 hours a day, 5-day work week, is fucking rough, man. It is rough on the body. It's, what is that, 10 commutes a day? Or not 10 commutes a day, 10 commutes a week. You're there for 8 hours, usually, depending on what you're working in. It can be quite grueling on the body. And, I don't really see a lot of alternative or a lot of talk from the right side of things of how we kind of fix this. Personally, me, I think a 4-day work week, I think it's time to embrace the 4-day work week, and not, by the way, the 4 10-hour work week. I'm talking about the 4 8-hour work week. I think that Americans, our GDP, our productivity has earned us an extra day of the weekend. But others don't really seem to feel that way. Funnily enough, Brett Cooper, somebody who, let's be honest here, probably isn't, I don't know how often she's worked in hard labor in a kitchen or elsewhere. I'm just not sure how much experience she has in the real world of real working. Not that being a host of a podcast, this is what I do as a little side gig. But, when you got the backing of private millionaire, billionaire donors, it certainly makes the process a little bit easier. Willing to buy you YouTube subscribers, buy you Twitch followers. But either way, all of that being said, let's take a look. Do you all need to get back to the mines? Do the youth yearn for the mines? Let's find out.
Back to the comments section. I'm Brett Cooper. It is no surprise to anybody that Gen Z struggles with a lot of things. I've made a lot of episodes about that, but there is something new that they are struggling with, but it actually isn't new. It's new to them, but it's not new to the world. Gen Z is upset with the concept that they might have to work a 9-to-5 job for the rest of their life. And again, like I said,
I want every young person to think about this. In your mind, that what you have to look forward in your future is showing up somewhere 5 days a week for 8 hours and trudging your way through work. That is what you have to look forward to. And Brett Cooper goes, you fucking get in line. Shut the fuck up. Get in line. I don't do that. I'm Brett Cooper. I work in a nice plush studio that somebody put a bunch of bullshit behind me, gave me a really nice microphone. Also, for whatever reason, I have a streamer set up, but I have camera cuts. Okay, whatever. Somebody who lives and works, let's be honest, in a very cushy environment, telling all the rest of you poors and your actual real laborers, get the fuck over it, stop whining, get back in line, get back to work.
This is nothing new. The 9-to-5 office job has
this
been
girl
the
does
butt of jokes
not
for years.
have
And the question of today is,
a dress
will
code.
Gen
Keep in
Z
mind.
finally crack the code? Before we get into it, though, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to the
Oh,
channel.
don't do any of those
Ring
things.
that notification bell. So
Don't do any of those things. Do all those things here on this channel.
So this is the type of content that I see on TikTok all the time. They literally think that it is the absolute worst thing in the world.
So we're talking about the job and like your qualification, expectations for the job, what are you looking for? Basic. We get to the very end and he's like, yeah, so I do just want to let you know this is 5 days a week in the office and you need to be making sure that you're still checking your emails once you get home and just like following up with people. And
so let's be clear, that's unpaid labor. That's called wage theft, by the way.
Also, you do need to be in the office 1 day over the weekend, so Saturday or Sunday. No. I literally just go, Yeah, so I'm feeling like with the salary
Fucking
and
cook.
not really.
I would really love to know what the salary is, because I've had these kinds of interviews, and you know what the salary is? Unimpressive. Utterly unimpressive. You gotta do all this unpaid labor and overtime, unregistered labor. You gotta sacrifice a weekend day, if you're working like something that's more of like during the week, what's the word I'm looking for? In kind of office settings, and you're usually working Monday through Friday. Now it's like, oh, no. We need a Saturday or a Sunday from you, because, there's business that has to be conducted on Saturdays and Sundays, even though Saturdays, at least for most office workers, is like the one day where they're like, oh, thank God I'm finally off, but, at the end of the day, it's like, nope, fuck you guys. Fuck all of you. You all get back to the goddamn mines.
Having any like work-life balance, being that it is a 6-day work week and still having to
God, it's a 6-day? Oh,
do my job when I get home. It's just not aligned, but I really hope that that you find what you're looking for.
Now, okay, when I first watched the video,
and by the way, something I was thinking about and then didn't say because I got distracted. What happened to free markets, man? Do you notice that this whole thing is like, you need to acclimate to the schedule that your owners demand of you. And maybe it's just me. Maybe it is just me. But I thought we lived in a free market. I thought we lived in an economic system of supply and demand. I thought we lived in a place where we had free association of business. I thought that we lived in a place where, you don't have to take the job. If you know what, if your job is not offering you the wage, the benefits, the schedule, the whatever, you shouldn't have to work there. Isn't that what I hear all the time from conservatives? Oh, well, a predatory workplace. No, there's no such thing. You're voluntary. You're showing up to work every day. It's voluntary. Wait a minute. If it's voluntary, do I not have the right to negotiate for my work-life balance? I thought it was voluntary, but no. Let's be honest here. That's a fake argument that they use. They don't give a shit about voluntary employment. They don't give a shit about your work-life balance. They want you to, again, shut the fuck up and get in line. They want you to get back to the mines, get back in your office, get in your boring chair, answer the calls, make us money. That's the entire goal. That is the entire goal of all of this. No mind that people are more miserable, more atomized, have less time to themselves, have less connections with each other. Never mind all of those things. Never mind all of the endless social repercussions to the way that we've organized the workplace in the United States over the last 20 to 30 years. Never mind all of that. Forget all of that. You should be quiet and get in line. It's a you problem. It's a skill issue. It's your fault that you're not capable, or more likely you don't want the benefits, the schedule, the compensation, the everything that these companies are offering. Maybe, just maybe, these companies should offer better schedules, offer better compensation, offer better benefits. Maybe the relationship of worker to employee is broken. And you want to know why it's broken? Come back to it. Well, we mentioned a little bit earlier. It's broken because prices keep going up, wages keep staying stagnant, and people are becoming more and more desperate and willing to take jobs that they are not interested in engaging with.
Like halfway through, I was thinking this girl is ridiculous. Like, that's a normal job. You have to work 5 days a week. That's crazy. Having to go in for a 6th day, that's a bit much. But also, people work over the weekend. People work when they get home from work. If you have
again, that's called wage theft.
That is what you are required to do. And like she.
By the way, if you're not paid a salary, let me be incredibly clear to anybody out here. If you are not paid a salary, if you are paid per the hour, you have a clock in and a clock out, you don't do shit at home. Let's be clear. The minute you boot up work from home and you're paid by the hour, no. Stop it. That is them stealing your time. So no. Do not participate in that. That is wage theft.
Shows, you can choose not to do that.
Surely you can't be serious.
You are not forced to have any of these jobs.
Why do they never play? Okay, can I ask this? Why do they never play clips of something modern? Like, that's how you know that this channel is AstroTurf. Because this girl is like 20. Why is every reference like 40 to 30 years old? Fucking Airplane? You guys, the editors, you guys couldn't find a more up-to-date reference? Maybe something she's seen before? Not to say that she hasn't seen Airplane, wonderful movie, but really? Like, I remember watching other videos of hers or seeing them, and like every reference is from an 80s movie or early 90s movie. There's like no reference from from the modern era. That's how you know that this show isn't actually made, and you know, Brett Cooper and her whole thing isn't actually for Gen Z or younger people. It's most of the viewership is coming from older boomers, older Gen Xers who want their views on Gen Z validated by somebody from that generation.
You can move on from it, so it's really not a big deal. But anyway, like I'm saying, this content is all over TikTok. And then on the complete other side of TikTok, there are people who have totally abandoned the, 9-to-5 work.
Oh yeah, keep in mind, I know I'm stopping a lot. I'm sorry. What do you want? I have to transform the content in a unique way. These are the YouTube rules. I'm sorry. But also keep in mind, before we had that 40-hour work week, do you know what we had? We had like the 50 to 60-hour work week. And you know what the old people said to them as well? You know what the older generation said? Look at you. Look at you. You want 40 hours? You want an 8-hour day? Puh, grow up. Get used to it. Get back to work. That's what they said to their youth. And that's the only message that she's delivering to the few young people that actually tune into her show.
Day, and they're living out of vans, and they're traveling the world, and they seem like they have this endless supply of money. You have no idea how they make money. They're just, floating around telling everybody, like, this is the life that you need to live. Get rid of your jobs. Just do this. So obviously, people are getting very
van life.
They have started to realize there is more to discover. More
Wait,
adventures to
stop playing music. You're gonna get me in trouble. God damn it! Now I have to check to make sure YouTube isn't mad at me. I'm also not joking. Like, YouTube will, the worst thing, the absolute worst thing, at least in my experience, is how just immediate YouTube is in terms of its in terms of their their, what's the word I'm looking for? They're like, oh, you played copyrighted music.
more to life than mindless working that only benefits rich white men.
Okay, we're just gonna mute it for now. Whoa, oh my god, a bunch of people who, let's be honest, probably have money or saved up a bunch of money.
White men. Like, the only reason you would have a 9-to-5 is to benefit rich white men. Race did not need to be brought into that. Somebody commented and said,
well, who primarily owns corporations and owns a lot of capital in this country? Oh, right, rich white dudes. Gotcha. Old rich white dudes, by the way.
I'd love to travel the world, which is usually what happens in those comment sections. That's a great question, but it is not just Gen Z that is expressing this.
Also, that's not new. People have been doing that since like the 70s.
Prep for Gen Z, like they don't want to work.
Like that's not a new phenomenon. That was literally the entire 70s and the hippie movement. What are we talking about? Like that's all that was. Like,
these jobs, what are we going to do? The parents are concerned. I saw this podcast clip from a mom.
The younger generation, like maybe people who are 17, 18, 19 now, they have a very different view on working and burnout and life and productivity. And
I don't know, maybe the professional world should acclimate to that. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they should change the way maybe they should shift their business structure to a way that would, I don't know, like attract more candidates of that generation. Like, what I find annoying about this is as if this is somehow a youth problem, or like no, this is your guys' problem. No. Businesses, it is their responsibility to attract eligible recruits for their employment. At the end of the day, they need to hire people. And if they're not willing to do the things to attract more hires, then fuck them. Guess what? You're not doing your part. You're running a business. You need to hire people. If you're not willing to pay a better wage, fuck yourself. Your business can go out of business. If you're not willing to offer decent benefits, fuck yourself. Your business should go out of business. Quite frankly, that's the free market, baby. That's how it's supposed to be. You can't hire people because you don't offer anybody anything other than a shit wage and a bad schedule. Fuck yourself then.
Economics than we do. I work so many hours, but my 12-year-old, she's like, what? Like I never want to work. Like no, but they have this real like I deserve to live like a good life without work.
I do think it's interesting though that this woman is talking about her 12-year-old daughter who's scoffing at the fact that her mom works, and we're taking that as like fact. Get to your
wait. Her kid is scoffing at the idea that you'd have to work that hard, that you'd have to work, because the experience of a lot of parents is grinding their fucking bone, like hands down to the bone, keeping everything afloat in the family. Because again, the system is predatory, and it makes sure that people who are poor, people who are actually working, people who are creating value in this goddamn country don't see the benefits. This is just a consequence of income inequality.
12-year-old daughter. She doesn't want to work because she's 12 years old. She wants to live life because she is 12 years old. She doesn't have responsibilities yet. And as her mother,
imagine a 12-year-old doesn't want to work. Brett Cooper's the first person to send the youth back to the mines. Get back into the factories. Go get your hands fucking cut off.
You should not be excusing this, and you should actually be encouraging her to work hard and show her that you actually do have to make a living some way or other. The point still stands. People are realizing that things
make a living by creating value for an owner.
The generation above us, maybe, or maybe 2 generations above us, would have been like, no, yes, you are.
Yeah.
But we're all like, nah, yeah, sweet. Don't work a 9 to 5. It sucks.
So obviously the parents
no
are
shit, because it does.
Saying, no, you don't need to go work a 9 to 5. You don't need to have the traditional route. Make your own path. And of course, that's totally fine.
Brett Cooper is 20. Has she ever worked a 9 to 5? No, really. I'm really wondering. Like, now, thinking about it now, I'm like, have you ever worked a day in your fucking life? Like a real work day as an adult. Again, this person is barely out of high school. And they're coming and talking about like, oh yeah, you know, if you just worked hard at the office job, like how much are you paid to get put together an AstroTurf show? Like quite a lot. Easily more than me, even though I put food in the mouths of people, god damn it. Like,
fine if you don't want to do that.
I'm leaving.
Okay, then.
Stop.
That was always allowed.
And historically, this is the attitude that a lot of people have had, and you know, they
at
have
least
it
it's
until they
modern.
graduate.
I got what I wanted.
World, and they realize that they actually do have to have a normal job, and they actually have to make money to survive, and one has to, you know, work and maybe do something they don't like in order to make that money. Which enters, of course, the age-old dilemma of I can't believe I have to work for the rest of my life. I don't want this 9 to 5. And right now, we're hitting that point with Gen Z.
Also, keep in mind that a lot of people are working for a lot longer now. People are not retiring like my mom can she's retired, but she has to have a side job if she wants to be able to afford everything and be able to like eat out once a month or something like that. Like, we are not allowing people also to actually retire and enjoy retirement because we haven't funded Social Security well enough. We haven't made sure that you know, people are actually making it to Social Security the way they should have. Like, it's just all of the systems point toward people just toiling away for the rest of their life and not being like, I don't know how you can be satisfied with that. How could you be satisfied with the idea of toiling away at an office or toiling away in a kitchen or toiling away in a construction yard or toiling away doing anything else? How are you, like, how do you look at that and you go, oh yeah, that's the life I want to live. I want to spend my life making money for some owner, making, you know, never really, you know, just kind of grinding it out. And then I'm going to die at like 71, only like a couple years into my retirement, out of fucking boredom. Like, that's what people have to look forward to right now.
I saw this article, and this is what sparked me wanting to do this episode. Gen Zers in their first internship can't fathom working for the rest of their life. I'm just supposed to do this forever because I need money? Yes. I don't know what else to tell you. Yes. The article was referring
God forbid
to
you challenge the system at hand.
It was originally in subreddit Late Stage Capitalism. The post has now been deleted, but of course it's the internet, so the post is lasting forever.
Well, yeah,
This person said, Any other Gen Z workers finding it impossible to fathom the rest of our lives?
Don't worry, that's just the job before the job. It gets worse. Absolutely.
Like this. I'm in the midst of my first internship, and I cannot believe the generation after
Oh, by the way, internships bullshit.
generation has been doing this bullshit work and is fine with it. I sat sobbing at my laptop today trying to write some blog post about federal funding that was assigned to me today. Well, obviously you'd be crying. It's about federal funding. That's like the most miserable subject ever. Nobody wants to talk about that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Anyway, doing the most boring shit of all time that drains me of all my—
And again, keep in mind, this is coming from somebody who gets an AstroTurf show made for them so that they can distribute, you know, pretty old style conservative politics, and, you know, again, lives a, let's be honest, pretty cushy lifestyle.
my energy and has zapped my passion for writing. And I'm just supposed to do this forever with a smile on my face.
Yep,
because I need money.
just keep money. Yep, just keep making it money.
They're happy about it too. I'm also a full-time waitress at 2 restaurants, and I want to be an artist and a writer, but nothing that fills my cup or makes me happy will ever pay the bills. I feel so pissed off at the world
And
right
isn't
now,
that the
and
problem
even
now,
though
isn't
I
it?
know that not every day will feel this bad, I also can't help but fear that it's only ever going to get worse as I have to pay for more things to survive, and this bullshit job will be all I can rely on. I hate it here. And this whole thing, like, I understand.
It's literally, by the way, for anybody who's younger, it's literally the sunk cost fallacy, except it's more like the sunk cost dilemma. Because the farther you get into it all, like I've said this to a couple people throughout time in general, life or whatever. But if you have a hobby, if you have something that you would like to do, that you actually want to do for the rest of your life, do a little bit of it and do as much as you can. Like, in your spare time, do as much of it. You don't have to, like take up all the rest of your hours doing it. But like, find an alternative, because at some point you are going to want to get off of this train. You are going to want to get off of the, I've been doing the exact same thing for the last 3-4 years. I want off. And the best thing you can do is set yourself up by practicing and honing those hobbies, those like skills, whatever it is that you want to do. If you want to be knitting, whatever, do that. Sell shit on Etsy. But like something like that, something that like you like doing. Fucking take that as like, as like a side thing, as a side interest, and just water it a little bit. Make it so that like, if you ever decide, fuck this, I'm out, that you have something that you can go, all right, I don't need to jump immediately into the next shitty job position. Why don't I do this for a little bit? See how that pays off. Even if it's something small, like, even if you have to get a side thing, treat that like miserable employment as a side job and try to shift your focus onto your hobby. It's going to be very transitory, and it's not going to be immediate all the time. Sometimes it is, but often it isn't. But do that so you have something of your own that you can actually invest your time and happiness into. And one day maybe make that the thing that you, as they said, I want to do my hobbies, but it won't ever make me a dime. It won't for a really long time, probably. But if you are working during those first couple of years of you practicing it and then maybe when you get out, you're making a few dollars. You take a bit of a pay cut. But then once you can make the exact amount of money as you would, then you're good. But again, it's just water your hobbies.
I understand that you had a bad day, and I understand that it's not fun, and not everybody's job is perfect and fun. All jobs have downsides, but the system—
You come up with that yourself?
The system of having to work, you're upset at the system. Like, buddy, you're gonna have to go way back to deal with that system, the person who created that system.
Also, by the way, the system of work that they're talking about is under authoritarian capitalism.
Because for all of time, man has been working. Your job is different than, the jobs of 3 generations ago, but we were still working. That is not something new. That is not something that is happening to you that we all as a society—
Wait, is she describing the concept of exertion of energy?
We're just supposed to accept this. Like, people were farmers, blacksmiths, tailors, their own business owners up until the Industrial Revolution.
True.
Where the job became replacement for poverty. But instead of helping break the chains of misery and being poor, jobs have been and are still a staple of give life to me so I can be super rich, while you're pressing for more hours away from your life, your family, and your passions. All the while—
Because keep in mind, all of those people, you know what they're describing? Their relationship to the means of production. If you're a blacksmith, You own your forging thing or whatever. I don't know anything about blacksmithing, but you own that. That is yours. If you're a tailor, you own all that shit. You are like you're like this is what we mean when us leftists talk about the relationship to the means of production. We moved from local economies to large industrial ones where one guy owned the factory. He employed like 200 people or something. And for each one of those people working, they create a number of value. They create $100 a day, each one of them, of value. And what that owner does is take their value and decide where it goes and how it's implemented. Some of it goes back into the business. Some of it goes into their pocket. And some of it goes to wages. And what we've seen over the last, probably 100 years or so, what we've seen since the adoption of the system is that as time goes on, owners have decided, well, what if I gave you I paid you a flat rate for an hour worth of work. Sometimes you create more value for me. Sometimes you create less. Let's be honest. Oftentimes it's more. And now we have a system where people create a ton of value and see a smaller and smaller percentage of the work that they actually do. The value that they actually create, they see a smaller and smaller percentage. Meanwhile, the people who are owning the companies, the people who owns the factory, who owns the machine, all of these things, their percentage of that value goes up and up and up and up and up and up and up. That's why you see CEO pay go up and up and up and up. And you see regular worker pay go down, 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 down. It's rather simple. We made this decision through our inaction to break up large companies, our inaction to trust bust, and our disinterest, and quite frankly, in the United States, our, what's the word I'm looking for? Our hysteria over communism and socialism.
Corporate shills who think that hard work all your life is the way and make everyone who feels otherwise feel less than themselves. It's a loop of I'm miserable, so let's make you miserable while somebody's rich off of our miseries. And I guarantee somebody with less than 2 brain cells is going to completely miss my point and unironically go, just work harder, bro. It's funny to me that this person
She's
is
about to
talking
make
about
that
blacksmiths
exact argument.
and tailors,
Yep.
because I guarantee that people like this would turn their noses up at modern Americans working those blue-collar jobs. But that
Wow, way to just like make up an argument and argue against it. This is what we would in the professional world call a straw man. Because keep in mind, what they're talking about, if you're a tailor or a blacksmith, those are, while they are like laborious, they're also creative works and could be looked at as creative works. If you're a tailor, you're like, you're tailoring clothes. Some of that involves quite a bit of creativity. So yeah, what are we even talking about? This is, by the way, unsubstantiated. There is no poll of Americans who like think electricians are, I don't know, fucking idiots or something. There's nothing to this. She just says this and we're supposed to take it at face value.
That's what you're talking about. And I would guess that the people working modern day blue collar jobs have
I'm
a
glad she
greater
said
level
I
of greater
guess.
enjoyment for what they're doing, working with their hands, than you sitting and typing on your laptop. But we have been conditioned to think that these jobs are the most important and that they are the only way that you can find fulfillment and offer anything productive to the world. Somebody else commented, okay, smart guy, what do you profess people do instead? I love this comment that this person made. And
well, break down the system. Revolution. A proletarian revolution. Or just, a populist move in our politics. That would also be nice. Most people understand that this system grinds people down and it fucking sucks. And the goal would be to get politicians, elect them, to actually enact the changes that we want to see. Unfortunately, there's a lot of barriers to that. The people who own the capital, the people who run those companies who are underpaying people, also spend a lot of their excess money on campaign donations. And with those campaign donations, they make it so that politicians just aren't really that interested in passing something like, I don't know, a minimum wage increase. I don't know, implementing a universal healthcare system that would tax the rich to pay for it. And unfortunately, there's not just one answer to a lot of these things. And it's usually not just one issue that stops us from making this kind of progress. It's a confluence of issues. I don't know how often I say it, but I probably need to say it more. our problems in this country are not because of one group, or not because of one thing. It's a confluence of issues and a confluence of motivating factors.
He said, which would you rather do? Farm 12 to 18 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week. Can you imagine Gen Z doing that? Or write an entry?
Well, actually, yeah, if they own the farm, why wouldn't I want to do that? It's mine. I'm literally producing everything for myself, and like everything else I would sell out to excess to help pay for the farm. Like what? Like again, this is the idea that like, oh, people don't like hard work. No. People don't like meaningless work.
On a blog. That is the era you're referring to, and that work never guaranteed safety or security, and they were still poor. And before that, everyone was subject to a king or a ruler of some kind. I mean, we all know this, but Gen Z is griping and complaining. We're all complaining about modern society, but we have it so much better than the generations before us, and we often forget that because we're so caught up in trying to be a...
She does know that that's literally the case with every generation. Well, almost, actually. Almost every generation has seen an increase to their standard of living. Except millennials and Gen Z. They actually will be the first generation in quite a long time to have a lower standard of living than their parents. It's not because they're less intelligent. It's not because they're less hardworking. It's simply for the fact that we set up the system so that it's not really amenable to millennials or Gen Z. I don't know what to tell you. Also Gen X a bit, but they can go fuck themselves a little bit. I'm kind of tired of Gen X right now. But no, that's the actual reason. People can't afford housing, not because they're not working hard, because housing becomes so unaffordable.
Oppressed and trying to be victims 24/7 rather than being grateful for the security and the freedom that we do.
Yeah, be grateful for that job that makes you miserable.
Days where nobody had to
be
work,
grateful for the job that makes you want to jump out of fucking
and for most of human history,
fucking
a
window.
large majority of the work was manual labor. And it's ironic now how so much work can be done without leaving your chair, and people are complaining.
Sometimes. Oh, keep it, motherfucker! God damn it! Stop playing fucking clips. Also keep in mind the whole idea of like, oh, it used to all be manual labor. Yeah, it used to all be meaningful manual labor. Now what do? People sit in offices and just fucking type nonsense into a fucking computer. A lot of people just pretend to work. A lot of jobs that we have right now are all clerical bullshit. Like, none of it, people don't see purpose in their work anymore. If I raise a cow so it can give me milk and meat possibly in the future, that's like harder, but is it more fulfilling? Absolutely. Absolutely. Talk to any young person. They don't have a problem with working hard. They're all like, most of them are fine with working hard on stuff like, you know, their stage performances, any of that sort of stuff. What they don't like is meaningless work. And a lot of the work these days is fucking meaningless.
Partially, I get it because humans were not designed to work behind screens all day long. So if you have a job like that, number one, it is your choice to have that kind of job, and it is still your responsibility to get outside.
By the way, your choice where your other option is starve and die.
One person in that same comment thread said, if you find a job you love, you'll never work a day in your life, though. And then responded and said, sorry, everybody, I was being sarcastic. That statement is what the man tells us to make us keep working. There can't be a job you love because forced labor isn't fun or something that humans love to do.
Oh, by the way, okay, so this person's only like half correct. I do actually think that if you do work that you love, you don't work a day in your life. I really do believe in that. I just don't think that we're offered any of those options. You do not have that many options. Where, you know, the thing that you love doing is your actual job. It is the thing that like capitalists say to motivate you to work harder, and it's like bullshit, but it's not bullshit because it's not true. It's just not true in our system.
Sorry for the confusion, y'all. Everyone's
also, this person has
so apparently, according to
24
this logic, you will never
likes.
enjoy a
Are
job
we really
if you're working for somebody else? I know many people who would disagree, including myself. That's just ridiculous logic. However, I do want to indulge that for a second. Let's go down that path. Because if you really feel that way, you do have another option. And Gen Z seems to be leaning into that. Here's an article about that. Hustle culture isn't dead. It just got a Gen Z rebrand. People want time to live their lives. And they said the oldest members of Gen Z are just a few years into being part of the workforce, and they are already being stereotyped as lazy. So far, they have been billed as entitled, quiet quitters, hell-bent on upending the traditional workplace norms by sharing salary numbers or redefining business casual or outright...
Oh, yeah. You know why they hate sharing salary numbers? Because they don't want. So I've had this conversation at my workplace, and I've had this conversation with a lot of other people. The reason why companies tell you that they don't want you all sharing wages is because they don't want you to understand, or better yet, they don't want you to come to the realization that your pay is arbitrary. Whatever you're getting paid is what a hiring manager, somebody hired to find out this number, what the lowest possible number is to get you to do the maximum amount of work. That, my friends, is what your wage is. Whatever your wage is the least that they could give you to get the most out of you. And most people were told before, oh, you shouldn't share that kind of information because it sows discord, which it does. When you find out that Jerry over there, who sits on his ass all the time, or or Philip over there, who's a hard worker, somehow make different wages from you, who are, a perfectly fine normal worker. You come to realize, whoa, how does Jerry, who I think is a worse worker, make more than Philip over there, who I think is a better worker? And so on and so forth. You come to realize, wait, we're all just making some arbitrary number that isn't at all tied. This isn't meritocratic, as I've been always told. And then it falls apart. Then people, then people go like, well, this is bullshit. I'm not doing this unless I'm getting paid as much as the guy who I think I'm doing as much work as, and so on and so forth. And the end goal of this is your boss is going to have to pay you a bit more. Everybody's going to have to pay a bit more. And that's what they don't want. I don't know what redefining business casual is, or the idea of contributing to capitalist systems. Yeah, good. Younger kids, if you don't like capitalism, I don't think it should be a system you should be forced into, although these people certainly do, but I certainly don't.
Right, rejecting the idea of contributing to capitalist systems. Of course, sounds lovely. As it turns out, Gen Zers
what happens
are
when
every
you
bit as
understand
ambitious
what
and
capitalism
even more
is?
Anxious as the overworked millennials before them, but they are redefining what success looks like at home and in life. Hustle culture isn't dead; it's just getting a Gen Z rebrand. So Gen Z, in a way,
yeah, my generation came up with hustle culture where it was work a whole bunch, don't complain, and
because they don't want to work for
you'll
anybody else. They want
end
to be
up
working on their own projects. They
about
want to
the same
find
place
something
most
that they love
people
and
are
they're
at.
passionate about. They know that they do have to work, even though they don't like it. So they're going home and working on other things that fill their cup. Gen Z has their normal job. They have the job that pays the bills, and then they're going home to work on a side hustle that they actually really enjoy. And I don't think that that's a bad thing at all.
That's a good thing.
Now, if you're like Gen Z and you have a side
Was that
hustle,
Bernard?
then you
I
need
have no idea.
Stamps.com. Now, the holiday...
Oh my God, Jesus. Oh, by the way, this is what we call her. This is her hard work, by the way. This is the equivalent for her of when you're really trudging it out, when you're on your laptop, when you're on your work computer and you're thinking, my God, I have to do this for the rest of my life. Oh my God, this is miserable. This is her version of that, where she has to read a 30-second ad read. So
.com/Cooper. And because of how efficient and affordable this is, you're going to be saving time and money so that you can actually focus on these side projects like Gen Z does, the side hustle. The article goes on and says, young people say that passion projects provide what day jobs can't. Many Gen Zers don't see achieving their dream careers by climbing the corporate ladder. They'd rather
why? Okay, I know I'm stopping. Why does she have headphones? You're not connected to a computer.
build their dream careers themselves. Walters estimates that 1 in 5
maybe,
of her
but
peers are trying to launch their own business.
you guys have professional
hustle culture is evolving
mics
from her point
and
of view. Hustling isn't so much about killing yourself at your 9 to 5, she says, but pursuing passion products that provide what day jobs may not. Creative fulfillment and sometimes extra money to pay the bills. As your own boss, Walter says, you're pouring into yourself and you're investing in yourself. And this kind of makes me laugh because this is not some new revolutionary idea. Gen Z did not just discover being an entrepreneur. Gen Z did not discover having hobbies and having interests out of your 9 to 5 job. And maybe this is something that every generation just has to...
Well, no, the difference is Gen Z. So the big difference is entrepreneurial ventures for other generations have always been like, oh, I want to make money on the side. Like what for entrepreneurial people, like 10 or 20 years ago, it was like, oh yeah, I got my real estate license on the side and I like do a couple listings every year and that pulls me in a couple extra $1,000. Like what these kids are doing is actual like, all right, I need to have an alternative for my future or I'm going to be stuck doing what I'm doing now. Most entrepreneurial, like entrepreneurs back in the 90s and 2000s, we're not like a lot of that was icing. A lot of that was extra. A lot of that was, oh, you know, I just want some extra money. This is like, no, this is my fucking parachute to get out of this system.
To come to, but it's funny that we are discussing it at this high of a level, and the Gen Z is claiming that this is some amazing rebrand and they've, like, you know, cracked the code. It's like, no, everybody has had hobbies and passions outside of their 9 to 5, but it is positive and it is cool. The Gen Z is finding a way for those hobbies to help pay them a little more. And of course, like I said, people have had hobbies outside of work forever. They have started small businesses in their garages after getting home from their 9 to 5s, and Gen Z just had to realize that that was possible and had to take responsibility for.
That's less common now. No, like, wait, like, that's not. Wait a minute. I'm really curious. Let's see. Rate of startups over time. Oh, geez, that's off the bat. Wait, where was that graph? Off the bat, that's not a fun stat. That's not a fun stat. Let's see. 107 startup statistics for 2023. I want startup failure rate. Yep. What is the startup rate? Yeah, like, I want to, like, really revenue. Like, I'm sorry, but I don't see that many people getting to do that anymore. Like, your ability, last 30 years? No, I don't want that. What percentage of business startups are still in business after 15 years? Approximately 20%. Startup failure. I know that. According to latest data, up to 90% of startups fail. Jesus. Like, do you think this rate is, do you think this is how it was, what, 20 years ago? 90% startup failure rate? Come on. 34% startup failures are due to poor product market fit. 22% failed business didn't implement the correct marketing strategies. Like, yeah. I'm sorry, but that's just not.
Their life and
It's
their
just not a thing that it was 10 years
blaming
ago.
it on the man or the system, and I think they're finally realizing that that gets them nowhere and that will just make them miserable. And honestly, if Gen Z,
yeah, don't recognize the inherent inconsistencies of the system in terms of delivering value for everybody. Yeah, ignore that there's systemic problems that are super huge and require quite a lot of effort to break. No, you should just figure out whatever it is gets you through the process. Don't ever change the world. That's the message here.
can actually get it together and succeed in these endeavors, this should be seen as a win. Because the corporate ladder mentality is real and it is exhausting to many. And if that's not for you, that is totally fine. You do not have to fit yourself into that box.
Too bad there's not really that many
what
options
the boomers
to
did and
opt
just
out
keeping
of
their
that.
head down in the 9 to 5s, Gen Zers are actually building their passions into real business projects, and this should be encouraging and empowering to everybody. And it's more possible than ever. And for all the bad things that I say about the internet and about social media, there has never been a better time to have a side hustle like this and to
I was
build
worried
your
we were going to
passion
get
projects
another
through the
ad
internet.
read.
And that's a good thing.
Oh, by the way, keep in mind, doing it all through the internet, again, at the end of the day, if you're selling stuff on Etsy, anything like that, keep in mind that's really just another layer that the largest corporations can bilk money off of you. Talk to anybody on Etsy, they take their cut. Anybody who sells on eBay, they take their cut. There's a reason why, again, moving towards the internet, the way that the internet has been privatized, there's a reason why that's the popular venue that people get pushed in the direction of. It's just the one that's controlled heavily by people like, you have like your Amazon. Amazon runs the web services. They make, I think that's like one of the, if not the largest part of their business is their web services. And, there's a reason for that. They own a lot of those pipelines. You can start whatever website you'd like. They'll let you do whatever because they get their little cut. And that's the reason why the internet has become a place where you do see some of that small business, community growing a bit. But I do think it's really dwarfed by the fact that we don't have them in real life. Small businesses just are getting run out by a lot of these big corpos. And people are finding less and less opportunity to not buy in and create value for those corporations, and instead, do it for themselves or their communities. But either way, I'm a good bit past time, so I have to actually run. If you've enjoyed any of what you've seen, if you've learned anything, if you lurked in chat, if you hung out for the debate, I appreciate you. Hit the follow button. It always helps out the channel. Hit the subscribe button if you're on YouTube. That does the same thing. Otherwise, everyone have a lovely night. I'll see you all Monday. Bye-bye.